to the 9/11 War Room, a weekly roundtable discussion that takes place every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in at 911warroom.com.
Welcome to the 9/11 War Room. My name is Gene.
My name is Sandra. Today is Sunday, April 12th, and it's episode 230.
230. Yeehaw. Few items to cover. Let's get into it. First one, we've been talking about it the last couple of weeks, about the dust, the toxic dust. They now have a lawsuit filed, but now the Manhattan Borough President Brad Hoylman-Segal is also getting involved. So the article's title is New York City Lawmaker Calls for State Probe into 9/11 Ground Zero Toxin Records. Albany should join the ongoing search for elusive documents about toxins that swirled above Ground Zero after 9/11, said Manhattan Borough President Brad Hoylman-Segal, who asked Governor Hochul and the leaders of both houses to direct an investigation into what the state of New York knew about the dangers. In a letter acquired by the Daily News, Hoylman-Segal, who was a state senator before becoming Manhattan's borough president, asked Hochul, State Senator Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins, and Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie, to probe for what documents they have on the toxins kicked up during the collapse of the Twin Towers nearly 25 years ago. Says, quote, responders at Ground Zero, along with residents, commuters, and students who entered the disaster zones, deserve to know what their government knew and when it knew it, even as the government was claiming that it was well, Hoylman-Segal says in a letter dated Friday. The city was not alone in responding to 9/11, he added. What did the Pataki administration know? And surely state agencies had a role and salient information during the crisis in the days, weeks, and months after the attacks. He goes on to say he's digging it up. He's starting to fling mud on everybody. Says the spokesman for Hochul's office said they were reviewing Hoylman-Segal's request. City administrations dating back to the mayor Rudolph Giuliani have refused to provide attorneys and local elected officials documentation on what city officials knew about the potential dangers of the World Trade Center toxins. Not good on Mayor Giuliani. The stonewalling continued until last year when City Councilwoman Gail Brewer, Democrat Manhattan, pushed through legislation ordering the DOA, Department of Investigation, to launch a probe over what the city knew when about the toxins. So the saga continues. Seems like forever. They're still trying to just find out what was in the dust and how bad it was. So. And also in the news, this came up. This is just a spin, but I thought I would report on it anyways. Fox took the opportunity. This gentleman, Hassan Piker, I guess he made a claim back in 2019, August of 2019. It's almost 7 years ago. Democrats cozy up with live streamer who said U.S. deserved 9/11. And Fox, being the conservative side, hopped on it, and they're really driving it home on a couple people here. Anybody that appears with this Hassan Piker is now vilified. Later on, it came out, not sure, actually, it was a week later. Hassan Piker was working for the Young Turks. Cenk Yeager called him on the show and said, explain yourself. And he kind of retracted the statement. I'm just going to play a little bit of it. Here we go.
So you said America deserved 9/11. Did you mean that?
No, obviously not, especially considering the fact that while that is a very viral quote that is going around currently, if those people were at least even remotely charitable or cared about the actual truth of what I was talking about, they would understand that within context, I was simply referencing the fact that all of the foreign policy decisions and our arming of insurgent groups in the region and our efforts in destabilizing the Middle East have a direct consequence, a boomerang effect, rather, if you will, in causing 9/11. Of course, every part of what I advocate for is against violence. I abhor violence. I think it's awful.
All right, that's a good cutoff anyway. I want him to get another sentence in there, but he starts talking about the sentence he said after it. And it's a really good conversation. It goes on for about 17 minutes. I'll put it in the show notes, if you'd like to watch that as well. I also want to point out another person that made a statement along those lines. Matt Taibbi. I'm not going to talk bad on the guy. I'm just reporting what he said along the same lines. He wrote 2 hit pieces in Rolling Stone against the 9/11 Truth Movement. This was the second one. The subheading is 9/11 Truth is a bald regurgitation of a silly tale we heard 10 years ago. And he did this 4-page paper, and at the last of his essay, he says this. The obvious answer to this entire essay, of course, is that both conspiracies are absolutely true. The government committed both, and he's saying this sarcastically. The government committed both crimes, in both cases leaving no evidence except that which can be deduced by engineers, amateur seismological readings, mysterious forewarnings, pictures of men in suits concealing evidence, rumors of patsies seen on military bases, and of course the always reliable cui bono. If that's the case, one really has to give it to the government. Those guys are good. They can't keep sex scandals or fundraising corruption or classified Pentagon war assessments or clandestine wiretap programs a secret, but they can commit 2 humongous mass murders and get away with them, being arrogant and devious enough to leave exactly the same maddeningly incomplete circumstantial evidence behind for us to stew over in both cases, almost like they did it on purpose that way, to F with us, which is kind of funny when you think of it. In fact, if they did pull it off, they effing deserve to get away with it. Anyone that clever must know what they're doing. So he also said something along the same lines. Nobody gave him nearly the amount of grief that Hassan Piker got, or anybody that associates with him. But that's the way the news rolls. So next news story from the International Fire Safety Journal. National Fallen Firefighters Foundation outlines FDIC program marking 25 years since 9/11. I mention this because they talk about a firefighter around the Pentagon. But before I get to that, let me give you a little backstory. The National Fallen Firefighters Foundation will attend Fire Department Instructors Conference, FDIC International in Indianapolis from April 20th to 25th with a program tied to the 25th anniversary of 9/11. The foundation announced it will host tribute events during the conference, including memorial stair climb, an awards event, and a fundraising campaign linked to Whelan Engineering, which I would like to dig into what Whelan Engineering is, because I don't know why they would be part of such an event. I'm very saddened for the firefighters and the brothers that they lost on that day and the impact that it's having on the firefighting community. But it hurts to think that they won't look into obvious issues with the official account. I wish engineering was there Whelan Engineering was there to point out some of those things, but I don't think they were. Go on. National Fallen Firefighters Foundation CEO Victor Stagnaro said, "The courage, dedication, and leadership of our nation's firefighters inspire us every day. The training at FDIC helps ensure today's fire service is prepared with the same level of leadership when it is needed most. From the Night of Honor to the Whelan Challenge and 9/11 Memorial Stair Climb, this week reflects our mission in action, honoring our fallen heroes, supporting their families, and working to prevent future tragedies." It goes on to say, the event will include an award ceremony for Fire Chiefs Terry Schaefer and Edward Plaher. I think that's how you pronounce it. My interest was that name because it rung a bell for me. It says Plaher coordinated operations for the Pentagon response. Someone might know more about this than I. When I dug back into it, this was the first, I believe, firefighter, fire chief, somebody of elevation that showed up at the Pentagon first. They were the ones with the yellow trucks that showed up and immediately sprayed the foam, crisscrossing the front, blocking basically the view of the Pentagon's wall. And when looking to get questions from him, I guess he took paid leave and then never returned to work for the rest of his tenure. So questions, like, he just went dark, and he, being the first firefighter showing up on scene, would have a lot of information, I'm sure. So
could I comment on that really
yes,
briefly?
please.
Yeah, I mean, we have to remember that even though I know what you're saying, that he was the first from outside the Pentagon, but there were 2 firefighters, Alan Wallace and Mark Skipper, who were right there. They were the firefighters for the helipad.
Oh,
They're
thank you.
important firefighters, and they started fighting the fire even though they were burned.
Thank you. All right. Very well. Next, This was a documentary that came out a year ago. I must have missed it, but there was a news story that just came out last week. 9/11, the day that the world stood still. Full documentary, The Pit Cast. And Sandra and I watched it, what was it, last night or the night before? It's only 49 minutes. That was really good. I mean, they kind of lean the official narrative.
Well, they don't.
Go ahead.
They don't lean.
They
They endorse.
Yes, they endorse. Thank you. But it's still a pretty good story if you get to check it out. Here's the trailer first that I just want to play for you guys. It's only 1 minute and 30 seconds. Here we go. So don't worry, the whole movie isn't flashing images like that. It's really in depth. I think they were just trying to say that the busyness of life went on and life was so busy and good in New York. And then boom, the day that the world stood still. Here is just one segment from a lady who lost her fiance, and just a reminder for all of us on why we're doing this, because it really broke my heart hearing this lady's story. But I think everyone should hear this. Here we go.
You spoke to him then while he was watching the first, and what was that like?
He said it was really chaotic. He said a plane just went through the building. He said, Rachel, I just watched somebody jump or get pushed or fall right out of the building, out of One World Trade. He's like, it's chaotic here, and I work for Bloomberg News, so I said, can I get anyone on the phone to talk about what you're seeing? And he was like, you don't understand, it's chaotic, and none of them ever knew that it was a terrorist attack. They all thought it was an accident. No one ever knew. And they were all still on the phone right before the second plane crashed. If I think about it, they had no time to get out. They had no time to run, but I still, of course, keeping hope. And
was he on the phone to you when the second plane?
He was on the phone to me about 2 minutes before the second plane went in.
And you never heard from him again after that?
I called back and his phones were dead. I don't know what else to do. I'm just going from place to place. This was my fiance. I planned my whole future out with this person. If I don't find him, I have to start all over again. It's taken me my entire life to find him, and I don't know what I will do without him. Please, please help me find him.
That's rough. Again, I want to talk about it later when we open up the room, but something I want to talk about is the fact, and I fell into this pitfall many times too, and I'm dealing with it. It's the difference between sharing truth and trying to be right. And I'm learning that you can use the same exact words, you can say the same exact things, but the motive is very much different. Let me stop the screen share for a second. It's a lot of being right now in my Bible and all that, but the motive behind what we're doing, if you feel emotion well up in you, or if you feel your stomach tighten up when you're getting into a conversation somewhere, then you're probably not doing it out of love. It's more of I'm going to prove myself right. And at that point, you've lost it. I've done that so many. I've done that almost every single time up until today. And the last couple of days, I've been trying, and it's going to be a process. And I just encourage everyone here when we talk about things. Like I was on a phone call, me, Sandra, Richard, and Gail, and the Pentagon came up, and we just talked about things. But it was just a genuine, sincere. Well, what about this and what about that? And it was just talking, and there was none of this, and there were opposite sides being shared. And it's just talking, a conversation, and where no one's trying to prove that they're right. They're just having a conversation. So
I like to compare it to, literally completing a puzzle, just your regular average puzzle where you have a whole bunch of pieces and you're trying to make them fit. And, when you kind of like do it collaboratively, I mean, the whole point there's, if you're doing it together, it's like, okay, the goal is to finish the puzzle. Okay, I'm looking for a piece that has this color, and the other person's, oh, I have that piece, maybe that one fits, and then you try it. It's like, oh no, that one didn't work. Okay, let's toss that one out for now.
I mean, it's definitely difficult the difference between sharing truth and trying to be right. That's a lifelong journey on that one. But anyways, I digress. We'll come back to that if anybody wants to. Craig, yeah, I know you probably will, but hang on one sec. I just want to get through the rest of the news real quick, and we'll open up the table for that. So let's finish this out. Also, so yeah, check out that movie. It is called, or a documentary, 9/11, The Day the World Stood Still. Full documentary. I'll put that link in the show notes. Richard, Turning the Tide, 2025, happened in DC, and we had recordings, and they weren't the greatest recordings. And Richard's slideshow wasn't even in it, so you don't know really what he's referencing. And thanks to Barbara Honegger, who funded this, they were able to edit all of the videos. Right now, Richard has posted his section up on richardgage911.org, where you can see it with all of the slideshows together. Soon, it will be up on the Turning the Tide website. That's turningthetide911.org. If you go there and you go to the talks section, there were 3 days of talks, and hopefully those will get up there relatively soon.
It's kind of a big deal to post them. It'll take a while.
Yep. Understood. So thank you, Barb, for doing that for everyone. Greatly appreciated.
It was a 3-month project, and it was a $6,000 donation on my behalf.
Yes. Wasn't a little one.
No.
And just to be clear, because Barb had to clarify that's in another call, when we say edit, it's not editing any part of the content or,
No.
It's just, there was color issues, there was sound issues, there was, like you said, the whole slides of Richard's were missing that Barbara now inserted so that they're visible.
Actually, Richard inserted them. He had to do it himself.
Okay, or Richard did it. I'm sorry. But just to say that this is what was done to them. The content was not changed.
Yep.
Yeah, the word edit really should be to make them whole.
Yes.
To make them whole, and it wasn't just Richard's. A dozen of them had issues as serious almost as Richard's.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me get through the rest here. One last thing, I think, is all I got. Yes, one last thing. Mick, Saturdays, 5 p.m., Mick is having an open discussion where he's inviting to hear people's evidence or whatnot. He just asks that everyone be cordial with each other. He has no time for anybody talking over him. I'll give you that. Just hats off to him on that one.
Or talking about somebody else.
Or talking about someone else. He will just end it right there. I made it easy, so I don't have to worry about emailing anybody. If you just go to 911warroom.com/Mick, it'll come up here, and to join his call, the link is right there. It's Saturdays at 5 p.m., one day before Eastern, the War Room, and Eastern time. Thank you. And if anybody wants to present their evidence, he says he's willing to listen to it, but you might not like his analysis. But
just to be clear, it's only about the evidence. Yep. Anything that he thinks might be worth considering to be part of this report that they're working on to be going to Ron Johnson and Company. So it's really just about that, why you think certain evidence is important, how much space it should take, and just make your best case, I guess. He does not send an email out every week. I don't know. He seems to have put out the link once, and sucks to be you if you.
Yeah. So I just made it easy for everyone. Just go to 911warroom.com/Mick, and it'll give it the.
If anybody wants to join, you'll find it there.
There we go. All right. With that, the table is open for conversation. Did I miss the 5:20? No, it is 5:20. Oh, it just turned. There we go.
There you go.
Before I open up the table, real quick, quick prayer for 9/11 justice, if you will. Lord, come to you right now. Thank you so much for the hearts and minds and everyone involved in the 9/11 Truth Movement. We all have our own opinions, our own way in which we like to do things, but I pray for the greater good, for those that have lost loved ones, for all of the fraud and loss of civil liberties on the people. Just pray that you would bless what we're doing, that you would show us guidance, give us wisdom in what we're doing, and protect us as we do pursue justice for 9/11, however that may be. Thank you for these things and these people in your name. Amen. Thanks. Now the table's open. Craig, what do you got?
Okay, yeah, sorry. There's a couple things I want to talk about, and maybe I'll split it into two different turns, maybe. I do want to comment about what you were saying about motives and emotion and puzzles and all that stuff. But I also want to just mention before I forget that I wanted to throw this out for anybody that is, willing to give me any feedback. Is part of the as some people may know, I'm involved in the effort to complete Roland Angle's book that he was working on when he passed away.
Nice.
And so it's a sort of a slow process because obviously you want to kind of follow the vision and you don't want to. But one thing that I sort of idea that I had and Nikki, who's Roland's widow, we talk about these things. We speak every week about sort of what the progress is and what we're doing. And I thought a chapter just about kind of key witnesses at Ground Zero that challenged the official story by their account of what they saw. And this, of course, top of the list being Barry Jennings. Other people like, William Rodriguez with the explosion in the sub-basement, all the firefighters that described explosions, a variety of things like that. And I just thought, why don't I just mention that I'm open to ideas on this in terms of other witnesses that might be worthy of being included in that. So I throw that out. Anybody wants to, you can either email me or you can just tell me on this call if you have suggestions. Like I even was, wanting to include the whole Bobby McIlvaine story, even though, McIlvaine didn't obviously have an account of what happened. But the evidence of what he experienced is there. And we also have Cyril Wecht giving his comments on it in the Unspeakable film. So I think that kind of is indirectly, I guess, is kind of like a witness. So anyway, I throw that out there. If anybody wants to, give me some thoughts, it would be much appreciated. My email is craigmckee911@gmail.com. So anybody wants to write to me, that would be super.
Yeah, Craig.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing this out there, and Gene would be able to speak to it much better because he's subscribed to the WebIO and he has access to all of that. And I'm sure you don't because,
right.
There's a cost involved and stuff like that. So unless, it becomes an absolutely necessary tool, people are not really going to jump on it. But
right.
I'm wondering if one were to throw that question into the web.io, if it would spit out a list of, according to all the records, all the whatever videos, whatever it has, which people would be considered not even quality, just witnesses to the events at Ground Zero that no?
I don't know.
Well, I'm asking you if you think it's possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean I don't know, maybe it's possible to do that and just give you like an initial list of what it comes up with.
Yeah.
It's worth a shot, I think, anyway.
That's a great idea. Yeah, absolutely.
If I could also add real quick that
Yeah.
his book was available on AE 9/11 Truth's website. It's difficult to find there. He hadn't completed his, as Craig's pointing out. I think he had up to chapter 4 completed. And I do have a copy of it. It's 97 pages if anybody wants that, or if you can find, if I can find it on AE's website, I'll put the link in the show notes. There we go.
Could you
Yeah,
repeat
that's
what that
fine.
is? What was that again?
Roland Engel's book.
Oh, thank you.
Right. But I do want to put a little just add some context to that. The way they decided to do that at the time, which I'm not sure was necessarily the best way to do it, was to kind of put out a chapter at a time.
Yeah.
And I think there was honestly a little bit of a fundraising element in that. Which you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
So the problem with that, of course, is that, if you're, to me, the way I would do a book like that from scratch is, I would go on from one chapter to the next, and then I might go back to the first one and then make some revisions, and then I'd do some more and then come back. That's just the way my brain works. I don't complete something,
Right.
and then completely move on. So you can certainly, in any feedback anybody has looking at that version of the manuscript, would be certainly appreciated. But there have been a lot of changes have been made since. Things have been added. The core of his work has not, nothing's been taken out or anything. It's still all in there, but we're sort of filling in, I guess, the areas that he didn't have time to complete. Any feedback at all would be great. And I just want to, you meant, I agree with the spirit of what you're saying before about motives and all that. But I always feel I hear myself pushing back on this very same point, and I'm going to do it again, because I think you can be passionate about the truth in a way that isn't necessarily what's unproductive or conflict oriented. You can stand for, just like we all do about the World Trade Center. If you got in a discussion with Michael Shermer or something, I'm sure we'd all be respectful. But we're not going to sort of say, well, gee, let's figure this puzzle out together, Michael. Let's see what we can figure out. This is a person that's trying to basically tell us that what we have unearthed over 25 years is wrong. It's all wrong. And so, to some degree, to speak the truth, you have to have a willingness to. I don't know what the word is, like, be courageous, be determined, stand your ground. And it's interesting that you're talking about having that conversation with Richard and Gail. I think that's great. And I think I'd love to be involved in those kind of conversations. Anybody asks me what I think about certain aspects of that evidence, I'm honestly so thrilled that they're interested and that they want my opinion, that I would be happy to have a long conversation with them, even if they're skeptical about what I'm saying. So I'm all for that. But when I see individuals being shifty and trying to manipulate and engage in deceptive practices, I'm gonna stand up to that.
Yeah.
And if we get too deeply into this, it's a big puzzle thing. It's almost like we're going to indulge problematic behavior forever, and I'm personally not willing to do that.
If I can, I have a couple of things to say to that. One of them, I think it's in the way one does it, more than about the actual,
That's what I was trying to say. Yes.
Because if I'm going to engage with someone on that level, first of all, everything I'm going to say is going to be, these are my conclusions, and I'll explain to you why. And if somebody comes back to me with something that I completely disagree with, I'm not going to tell them, well, you're wrong. I'm not going to tell them anything about them. I won't even start a sentence with you. I'm going to want to know why they are defending what they are defending. And I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. And I can respond to that by saying, okay, I understand what you're saying. this is why that doesn't work for me.
Mhm.
You know, and if I keep it about, if I take responsibility for my perception, for my analysis, for my thought process, I'm not making about the other person. That's, to me, that's the nature of the exchange, because fundamentally, I'm still curious why someone else could possibly think certain things. I won't say it that way because the only thing I'm going to get out of it is a defensive reaction, you know, because as soon as there's a you in there, you said this, you do that, you think that, you said, you know, then automatically, it's just like basic psychology 101. The person is going to dig in their heels, even if they're not even convinced, you know?
Yeah, I was talking more about the hard issue of it. You were certainly going to have disagreements in this movement, but it's how we return each other. If somebody returns and calls you a name, I'm no longer going to return the name calling. I'm not going to get excited about it anymore. I'm going to hear what they say. They genuinely, what Jerry said on another call with Patty, people genuinely believe what they believe, and they're sharing it from a heart, what they believe the
Not
truth is to
always.
be.
Not always.
Okay, fair enough. There are some.
Sometimes they're being
actors.
dishonest.
Yeah, there's some
Yep,
bad actors.
That's
Yeah,
true, but that's not a corrupt. In my opinion, I don't think that's my call to judge that.
right.
I'm just going to continue to try
They
to.
expose themselves in the end anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move.
Well,
let's,
they expose themselves because people point out what's wrong and what they're saying.
Yeah, because people have brains and they can put pieces together.
and if
People are very naive.
What people say and how they say it is going to resonate with. If it's a good thing, it's going to resonate with more people. If it strikes discord, it's just not going to resonate, and that's where I'm going.
I would say it depends, but I think generally speaking, I'm an idealistic person, and I feel that way too. That's the way I want to deal with people.
Yes.
So I'm happy to have those, a conversation. I'd love to have a chat with Richard sometime about the Pentagon. That'd be fine, or any other aspect of 9/11 with anybody else. Jerry and I are gonna have a conversation with Xander Arena at some point, whenever Xander, right, Jerry, when he gets up. So we're going to do that at some point and talk about the evidence. And I'm looking forward to it. And I think it'll be productive. Jerry showed interest. And like I said before, I'm always happy when somebody shows any interest in something I've researched. So I'm all for that. But there are times when people are being disingenuous, that if you treat them as if they just have a different opinion, it's simply a disagreement. What you're doing is you're basically endorsing their honesty and their sincerity when sometimes there are people who should not have their honesty taken for granted. So, I know that doesn't sit well with you, but that's
I'm hearing you. I'm
listening. You've got to challenge when people are clearly being disingenuous. They need to be called out, because people.
Well, you can do that by asking questions without going in their face and saying, I'm some simplistic version of I'm calling you out because, the more questions you ask, the more it's going to be difficult for them to justify their position.
I think by calling them out with questions would be better than saying you're not telling the truth, you're lying, or something like that. That's just an unloving response.
If year after year those questions are never answered, and they go on as if they've answered them all, but they haven't answered any of them, then people aren't going to notice. People are not going to look closely enough, as a rule, unless they're deep into the Pentagon. But most people are not deep into it. They're interested in it, but they're not deep into it. So they're not going to notice some of these subtle issues. So somebody's got to say it.
Thank you.
I think.
Get up the other hands. Thank you, Craig. Barbara, and then Jerry, and then Sue.
Yeah. Thank you. I just want everybody to know I'm in a coffee shop, and they only give you an hour on Wi-Fi, so I'm going to get cut off here pretty soon, and I'll drive home real quick, and I'll be back on in 10 or 15 minutes. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to say is I fully understand where Jean and Xander are coming from. I think we all agree that that's what we want to do. I think that a principle, if I could put it into words, is to keep in mind always that people are not wrong, but claims can be wrong. We have to separate the person from the claim.
Yep.
Okay, that's number one. And number two is about, I like the puzzle analogy. There are upsides to it, there's a downside to it. And the downside to it, or the caveat, is that if you can imagine that the truth about 9/11, I really like the puzzle analogy. Let's imagine that the truth about 9/11 is a puzzle that has been created by the deep states and then, punched into all these little pieces and jumbled up on a table. And that the actual truth, once you put the puzzle pieces together, will be obvious, okay? But all those puzzle pieces, you've got a blank slate, you haven't even done the sides of the puzzle yet, all those pieces are on the table. The problem is somebody's come along and put in a whole bunch of so-called puzzle pieces that have nothing to do with
extra pieces. Just
extra pieces.
Yes.
Extra pieces. Because the one thing, especially about the Pentagon, is that from somebody who's like Craig and I, who are down into the weeds of it, as well as the big picture, there are clearly two fundamentally different, conflicting groups of witnesses and data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I think it's just really important to remember that the puzzle analogy will work as we're talking to each other within the movement, as long as everybody at least acknowledges the puzzle pieces of those that haven't yet agreed with them.
Yeah.
Because that is not happening about the Pentagon. Okay, those are my comments, and sorry for being cut off here pretty soon, but I'll come back.
All good. Thank you, Barbara. Jerry from Scotland. I love you,
All
brother.
All right. And can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, kind of on the same lines of what Barbara and Craig is saying. I think we have to distinguish between two groups of people. There are people who are supposedly on our side, okay, and we can argue with them about what we think happened on 9/11, what didn't happen on 9/11, and then there's a group of people who would try and debunk us. And these are two very different areas of debate, and I think we have to treat them differently. And for example, anybody who has read the official account and is defending it hasn't understood it, because we've all looked at it and went, okay, this makes no sense. So from the outset, I would argue that these people are, in the main, if they're, for example, about the towers from an engineering perspective, then they're being disingenuous. And if they aren't, then they just haven't read the report correctly, because it makes no sense from an engineering perspective. Where we get conflict within the movement around the Pentagon, for example, is because of a vacuum of evidence where there isn't any evidence there. So you're looking at the jigsaw picture that you're trying to complete, and you've not got the whole picture. You've not got the whole set of pieces, and that makes it very, very difficult. But in Craig's in support of Craig, and also in a way criticism of him, I don't think Craig's group or David Chandler's group, just to those two schools of thought around the Pentagon, I don't think either of those two groups has made a clear, definitive case about what happened or didn't happen at the Pentagon. And I think that's because
you're killing them.
There's a lack of... No, I don't think they have. I mean, for example, the damage to the Pentagon, that supports Craig's belief that it wasn't hit by a twin-engined passenger Boeing entirely, because it's not consistent. You've got a hole, and then you don't have a commensurate amount of damage structurally where the other engine should be. And the fact that hasn't been addressed by the other side is a diversion, whereas they should be able to say, look, here's what the damage is, here's why it is consistent, and it isn't. I would come down on the side of Craig and Xander on that one, and that's where I hope to help them. But we have to approach it, if it's an internal argument and it's not a debunker, we have to approach it from an effort versus reward think, what are we going to get out of this? What are we going to get out of this? And that kind of worries me around the Pentagon issue, where we're kind of spinning our wheels in a vacuum of evidence. So that worries me.
Thank you.
And we're just missing so much information.
I guess that's got kind of off the mark of what I was specifically addressing with that. But I hear you. You guys are right on what you're saying. I'm talking about, if I try to make another analogy, would be if there's a trial happening in court and you've got the prosecution and the defense, both of them are going to present their case in front of the judge in a civil manner. They're going to treat each other, typically, not really always, but typically they're being mindful of the court. They're being respectful of the court. So when we talk to each other, we should always do it with that kind of that thought process.
I'm not for treating debunkers with any
I get it.
percentage of respect whatsoever, and I will call them what I think they are, and I will do that on no uncertain terms. And
I've witnessed that.
And I will never ever stop doing that, because these people, like debunkers, for example, what do you think motivates somebody to come out and defend the official story of 9/11? I understand what motivates all of us. What motivates them? Say it.
The rise. They just want to get the rise out of people, but by doing that, you're giving them what they want. They want that reaction from you.
Unless you hand them their ass on a plate and make them look very stupid.
I will give you that.
So that makes them out to be the fools that they are. And that demonstrates that publicly. From a third-party point of view, looking at that, they should be looking at these debunkers and going, yeah, that guy's an absolute clown.
To each his own, but I'm going to try to choose a better path. I mean, well, not better. I don't know.
No, it is a better path. I get what you're saying, and I understand it. And sometimes that may work to a lot of third parties, and it may not work with a lot of other ones. Maybe we're just two different weapons in the same arsenal.
Aye. Thank you, Jetty. Sue.
Yeah. I always approach conflict from a place, or I strive to. I don't always achieve it. I strive to approach conflict from a place of love. And one of my favorite movies is a comedy called Defending Your Life. What I love about that movie, even though it's fiction and it's a comedy, it brings out a basic truth that fear promotes hate and love conquers hate, conquers fear. So we have to come from a place where we're not afraid. And that is a place of love. So I just wanted to read something I composed, because the conflict within the 9/11 truth movement and everybody accusing everybody else is weighing very heavily on my mind.
Same.
So I composed this to explain Boston 9/11 truth. So if you give me a moment, I'll read it. Boston 9/11 Truth strives to be a fully inclusive organization and has active members who hold a variety of theories on what they think happened on 9/11. The only requirements we have for our members is that they, 1, agree that we were lied to about 9/11. 2, disagreements are to be respectfully addressed with facts and evidence and not personal accusations. The same holds true for our Zoom speakers and participants, and that we add that only 9/11 and other topics only as they directly relate to 9/11 is to be the topic of conversation. All our speakers are followed by rigorous Q&A sessions, and respectful challenges to the speakers are not at all discouraged. The truth can be decided by our audience, and we have faith that our audience is intelligent enough to figure out for themselves without gatekeeping and without censoring anyone's ideas. Officially, Boston 9/11 Truth does not censor, and as a group, we take no official position on how 9/11 was done or who did it. We find that these dictums for our group have kept our group intact for the past 22 years, whereas far too many 9/11 truth groups have disintegrated into internal turmoil. We are aware that many disagree with our guidelines and prefer that we be more a gatekeeper for what some consider quote unquote disinformation. But we trust our audience, and if that's controversial, so be it.
Very good, Sue. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, and it's, you know, and it's wonderful to have the guidelines and to, you know, put the spotlight on them and underline them and go back to them on a regular basis. You know, human beings are complex, emotional balls of yarn, who will, you know, they'll read all that and they'll, yeah, I totally agree with that completely. And that's just on the theoretical level. And then somebody says something that triggers something else, and all the defense mechanisms and the, you know, need to be right suddenly creeps in, and knee-jerk reactions happen, and then a lot of it goes flying out the window. So unless you're like Mick, who brilliantly reins people in, I don't know how he does it, but he's
really good.
He's really so very no nonsense about it and very kind. He's not at all disrespect. I mean, on the contrary, he's very respectful. He'll give a warning, give 2 warnings, and you know, if you keep this up, I'm gonna have to drop you, and you know I will. Yep. And he says it with this like deadpan face, and it's just it's pretty funny. But he gets taken seriously. He walks the walk. He practices what he preaches, and has this ability to command respect instead of demanding respect. And those are 2 very, very different things. And yeah, it's hard to do away with the whole emotional aspect. You need emotional intelligence as much as intellectual intelligence.
You need courage.
What Sue said about, you know, we trust our audience. There really is. Everyone here is not going to do what we tell you to do. You must believe it this way. And it's just, that's never going to happen. So it really is, we present the evidence that we find compelling or resonates with us. And if it is truthful, it's going to resonate with people. Truth will resonate and lies will not resonate. I just think we got to continue to share your truth and let people make up their own minds. So, Jack.
Okay. Sometimes you got to point things out to them so then they can make up their own minds.
Fair enough. Yep.
And that happens in our rigorous Q&A.
Yeah.
We've even had a 9/11 story supporter as a guest speaker, and I think it went very well.
Yep.
I'm not afraid of them.
I do too, Sue. I think it was great, and I actually got that guy to comment on the controlled demolition, even though he didn't want to. And so it was a great exercise. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm totally with you on that. I just believe in calling something what it is, and if there's tactics that are being used disingenuously, then I think somebody has to be able to say it without being branded as, you know, well, you're just trying to be right all the time. You know, I don't really, you know, that's how I feel about it.
I think when I read it, it said it's either a heart issue or a head issue. If you're sharing the truth, if you're sharing your evidence with your heart, that's different than trying to share it with your head. You're trying to be right, as opposed to you really genuinely care that this person is not getting it, but you're not trying to club them over the head. You're just trying to hear.
That assumes you're dealing with someone who's honest. Yes.
Fair enough.
If you're dealing with somebody honest, that's a different approach.
Yeah. Thank you.
Different approach.
Yeah.
Let's go to Jack. Come on, Jack.
Hit the road,
Jack. I used to go to a movie night, most in Cambridge. Most of the Boston 9/11 people have been to that movie. put on by P.F. Soto. And during that time, Obama was convinced by Cass Sunstein to fund a program where people were paid to go to peace groups and infiltrate them. And I ran into one guy that I know he was a government agent, and he had no interest in peace at all. But that was a very well-funded program, and we have to keep that in mind. That these people get, six-figure incomes for infiltrating peace groups.
Yep.
Oh, and the significance of it is that he was in Cambridge too, Cass Sunstein, right near where we were watching these movies.
I guess this is the crux. This is the most difficult part. What I said resonated with people. They hear me, but then there is, and you guys brought it up, a right dynamic in that, a different dynamic, that if people are not genuine with you, then I think you should still treat them with some sense of...
Oh, there's never an excuse for disrespect.
Yeah.
Never.
But it does change things. And I have to think about that more before I can talk intelligently.
Well, it changes things in that, you can still, not that much, I don't think. You can come back with, at the end of the day, they still have to come up with arguments. They still have to come up with points.
Right.
Right? So if the points are not valid, then you can still come back and say, that does not resonate with me because these are my findings.
Here's an example, and I'm not meaning to disparage Patty. I said about molten metal, and she said, well, molten doesn't necessarily mean heat. And I just stopped talking and went on to the next subject, because you can't, I don't know how you would refute somebody that doesn't believe molten means heat. I don't want to pick on her. I love her. But when you say that, there's clearly a flaw, and I don't want to do it in a loving way and say, well, you're wrong there. Like, pick up a dictionary or like something like that. I don't know what you do.
Yeah, but that's people being human. Barbara thought that planes went through a grid and they were shredded into little pieces. Okay. All of us make mistakes like that, and I do myself.
Fair enough.
That's different than being paid to be a disinformation agent.
Okay.
From
10-4.
Well-funded.
Somebody give me a better example of somebody that willfully. Okay, not Craig.
I
got lots.
Let's pick somebody up at the higher level. Somebody from government.
Higher. Oh, okay.
What's a good one? Oh, here we go. Shyam Sunder saying that Building 7. Trust our science. I think I'm paraphrasing what he said. Trust our science. We've looked into this and nobody needs to look into it anymore. Like that. That's an absurd statement.
But we should deal with that statement from a position of love. Do you think?
No, seriously.
Should we have love for Shyam Sunder and Cass Sunstein and Philip Zelikow?
No, seriously. And I think, but love doesn't need to be considered, meek and
it doesn't have to be what you feel for the other person.
What it could be is like the AE 911 Truth filed a request for correction. That was I don't think loving's the right word, but it's not loving. It's okay. I'm firm. This is what you said, and we're finding problems with your statement, and we want the truth to come out. So, yeah.
But AE 911 Truth was not afraid to say that NIST was lying and that they were being deliberately deceptive.
But it's easier with the whole organization.
No. You're right. I want to see it.
And fraudulent.
I think he said fraudulent. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So
interesting.
When we have somebody speaking in fraudulent ways inside our movement, that's disrespect. We can't disrespect them, but outside it's fair game. We no holds barred.
Well, maybe with NIST, it's absolutely clear that that the fraud is absolutely clear.
I need to think about this.
On so many
maybe
levels.
It's just as clear inside the movement.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. Thank you, Craig, for throwing a wrench in my folks.
Sure.
I love
Happy
it.
to do it.
That's great. This is what we need to do. Think this through as a group, and I appreciate that very much.
I appreciate the opportunity for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jack, anything else, Jack?
You're probably going to be responsible for a big discussion after the war room, after having supper.
No,
Jack,
that's it for me. Just that there are paid disinformation agents.
Yes. Thank you.
Highly paid, and they come from an organization that tells them what to say.
Yeah.
This is a $100 million program.
Yep.
It's still funded today.
Yep.
What's the biggest threat? What's the biggest threat to them?
Yeah. I think it's funny. There's a meme going around saying a multi-billion-dollar propaganda war, and we're ruining it with memes. That's great. All right. Thanks, Jack. Let's go to Ross.
Okay, so I'm your resident hardcore truther. I want to say, I think let's not be so hard on ourselves. It's probably the most important movement that's ever existed in modern times, and that's why it's being attacked by the very people so thoroughly that John Bottomley just discussed. So that's why we have these problems, and that's a sign of great success, not little success, but great success. So, I'm not one of the hand-wringing people, and I don't like it when I see all these people here on this call over time hand-wringing. I mean, it's like for our behavior, okay, when I attack somebody on this call, for example, and I will do that when I want to do that, when I think it's appropriate, it's because this is the right forum for us to perfect ourselves. This forum is one of the best ones, Gene's forum. So, that means you have to be critical, self-critical of yourself. Otherwise, you're just preaching to the choir. And when you do go out on the streets, you're going to have a much harder time because you really need to be confident on those streets. It helps out a lot. And what I don't get in New York City, any more people coming up to me, trying to, debunk me. I don't get that. I get people coming up to me telling me what they know about it, which is, what I know about it, and agreeing with me. And very rarely what you do find are some people coming up and they want to nitpick on who did it. Okay. Because there's this, obviously there's people don't want to be guilty about this or that, who they're affiliated with in New York City. So you got to deal with the who did it. The technical thing, they don't really care about, the technical part of it, about how it was done. I care because I'm an architectural engineer and I think I know how it was done. If I didn't think I knew how it was done and I was an architectural engineer, I wouldn't care how it was done. But I think I know how it was done. So I think I have a responsibility to tell people. Anyway, Patricia Kazanza is one of these people that she just sent out an email 5 minutes after we started. I'm
just seeing it now. Yeah.
Yeah, big, long one, thorough. So I was thinking, well, I might want to respond to that email. Okay, but I'm not sure I want to because that episode that happened with her and what's happening now, she's the the couch person, right? Couch bombs person.
You mean like the poster person? Is that what you mean?
No, there was one interview that was done recently.
No, that was Kristen Breitweiser.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
The other Jersey girl.
Okay, the other one. Okay, I thought it was Patricia.
On Tucker, she went there. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. I thought it was her. I'm sorry, I got those two confused, but it's kind of that same puzzle piece, this that Barbara was talking about. It's like, what kind of puzzle piece is that? I mean, not that there weren't bombs and couches, okay, but what does it have to do with the bigger picture, and what does it have to do with muddying the water? It has a lot to do with muddying the water, if you ask me. It might be a piece of the puzzle that fits, but it's way off on the edge. It doesn't matter, okay? So, we have to look at how these things happen. With Patricia, I think she's
I'm not so sure Mick might not say that. Mick would say, it's a piece of evidence. It might have some weight to it. Haven't looked into it much, but I wouldn't immediately say it's muddying the waters. That's putting.
Yeah, it's projecting, I guess.
Yeah.
For me, it is. And I think
for you,
Craig,
there we go. That's better correction.
Yeah, and Craig said it that way too. Craig, I think it was for Craig too, a very serious one actually. But anyway, so she either has been captured, as I've been saying over and over with a lot of the people. For various points in their life, they've gotten captured either right after college, or they're captured.
That's exactly what I don't want to do. Speaking about people in an unloving way.
Well, I'm not going to say who they are.
Yeah, but just say that they're captured. Really kind of.
Well, it's what happens. It's what happens with the group, the things that John Bottomley's talking about. They come after you with the capture. You know, it's very common knowledge that that's what happens. And it's very common knowledge that it's happened a lot in our movement. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's it.
Patty is the opposite. She's so sincere. She's wrong on things, but she's 100% sincere.
Yeah,
she showed her anger. If she was paid to there, she would be charming and just the silk. She wasn't, so she wasn't being paid.
I think I agree with that. It's either one of the two. It's either she is captured or she's being totally honest, and it could be either one. I think. Okay, I haven't given a definitive answer on what I think that is for me. I think I know why, if she's being honest, why she's being that way, and that's because of the reasons I criticize the people on this call. It's because she's picked up on that a long time ago too, all those things. So anyway, but we still need to not be wringing our hands, worrying about our little mistakes, because the bottom line is it's a big, huge deal what we're doing, and it takes a lot of time and effort, and it's a very complex thing. If you really want to make it complex, which, you know, you can do and maybe you should do. I don't know. I don't like to do that, but I like to keep it simple. But, you know, let's be proud of it. Let me just end on a very positive note. So, you know, this thing about people building the towers again, it's happening all over the place. I hope that'll be the first buildings that are done, that are the first time it's happened as buildings. But I have a new project. Pretty excited about it. It's premature for me to mention it, but it's so exciting I have to mention it. There's going to be another set of towers built on a mountain pass in a very prominent highway location on a mountain pass.
Nice.
And it's going to be
in the United States.
Well, I'm not going to give you too many things now because it hasn't. It's anyway. It hasn't happened yet, but I put the money offer in, and we'll see if they accept it. You know, the bottom line, and I think they're going to. But it will be called the Twin Towers Museum and Research Center, and it will be very prominent. You'll have at least, I don't know how many cars pass that way every day. The other nice thing about it, as a mountain pass, you'll have every beautiful view that you could ever want of the towers, unobstructed by any other buildings or any other things, really set right there in nature. And so it just kind of happened as a coincidence too. It wasn't something I was pursuing. Just this idea that the towers are going to get built again as buildings. And so, and all this kind of happened. So hopefully on my news, in terms of the, real positive hardcore truth is, hey, just show it. You don't have to worry about how you're saying it. Just make sure you always show it, Okay, that's it.
Thank you. If you could put it on either side of this Jesus statue in Brazil, that'd be really cool. Like, no, just kidding. That would get attention.
Yeah, you better be careful about that one, because you know what I'm talking about, of course, is the Towers of Babel, which is something.
No good.
Yeah,
no way. I got it.
That Towers of Babel story, I think, is not a good story. I don't think that gives the Bible any credibility. I think actually they should have built the Towers of Babel, because you should have a common language if you want to really progress humanity. And they God apparently tore that down, that concept. So yeah, this Towers of Babel thing is what that building these towers about again is. It's one of the confrontational things of it. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Ross. Let's go to Mike Cook.
Hey there.
Howdy.
I'm sorry, I'm making a note about something else.
You do that while I take some food, because I've been fasting for 2 days and it just ended at 6 o'clock. So
yeah, he's been having his snack
right now.
Ready for the last hour, and I guess he was watching the clock.
Anyway, what do you got?
This is just my personal preference there, and people can take it or leave it. It doesn't matter to me. There are some things I will refuse to entertain. And I think back to the when the flat earth was a big deal. I spend a little bit of time saying how absurd this is, and here's all these reasons why, and that's it. I don't go there again. I don't. Life is too short.
Yes.
And there's too much important work that needs to do. So, yeah.
But on the flat earth, and I think I've said this before, I don't want to repeat myself, but I mean, I'm truly fascinated that someone can believe that. And I would I would kind of like a conversation with someone who's genuinely convinced that the earth is flat, because I want to know how they come to that.
9/11 truth only.
Yeah, okay, it's an example.
Kidding.
So I mean, I go about that for everything. I'm just always fascinated how people come to their conclusions and beliefs and whatever. And there's a lot to be gained from understanding. You don't have to agree with it, but it's like, oh, okay, once you understand it. So yeah, I would have that conversation with someone, not for days on end, but like I'd have a conversation.
Yep.
I think a lot of times it's intentional disinformation, just trying to get people to argue over nonsense.
Probably.
So my view, everybody likes their own. Everyone likes their own evidence, whatever they get into. Mine is Building 7. I love talking about Building 7. There's still a large group of people that don't hear it and haven't heard about it. For my opinion, it's kind of a little bit in the biblical realm where the Great Commission for me of 9/11 Truth is to share Building 7 with as many people as possible. And every day you could talk to people. I've never heard about that before. And that's my thing. And whatever else somebody thinks is more important or more valuable or however you want to do it, go for it. I'm done trying to tell people, talk about this, don't talk about that. Go with your heart. Anyway.
Could I add something? I'm about to lose my charge. Could I just say something quick?
Real quick, Barb, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I don't know how many people know this, but this is a fact. There's a whole book about it called The Earth is Flat. Not too many years ago, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, it's the organization of all 57 Islamic countries in the world. They get together once a year for an annual conference. A few years ago, they voted officially that the earth is flat.
All right. No more flat earth talk. There's 9/11 truth.
I don't agree.
For that?
Thank you, though. Appreciate it.
Do you have a button for that?
Yeah, I don't have one.
No?
For that.
Some of those flat earth people were paid. I know that for sure.
Flat earth got the going. All right. Craig, what do you got?
I waited as long as possible to put my hand up because I wanted to make sure other people who put their hands up could go ahead of me because I've talked a lot. Do you want to talk? Do you want to let Magnus go ahead of me, or I feel kind of bad?
Yeah, that works. Let's do Magnus because he's going to have some videos for us.
Some videos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's do that.
You're muted though, Magnus. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. Thank you, Gene. I only have one video, and I was just saying I'm here just to support your group and Richard Gage. And if you guys like the videos, just take them. And thank you for letting me be here.
Yeah, it's not about letting you. You're what's a better word to say? You're cordially invited. Everybody's invited here. All we do is ask if people will be civil, and I'll forgive anybody. I mean, Craig and I have. Liked each other and hated each other many times, but and we're growing from this, and now we can have conversations, and I don't think we're going to get as excited.
I don't think either of you ever hated each other. You just went at each other's throats sometimes.
It's even people that I've had a recent falling out with, they're welcome to come back. Just be civil. That's all I'm asking. I would even say with Norman, if he wants to come back and he can have a civil conversation, that's fine.
He can't.
He can't, though. I honestly can't. What I just saw in an email is that same unloving tone to everybody again. Like it breaks my heart because it breaks my heart more that he shares scripture at the end of his emails and does that. Forgive me that I shouldn't, I don't want to talk bad on him. I genuinely would appreciate making up with them and having a civil conversation. I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, let's go to this video. Sorry, I digressed.
Thank you.
What do you got? 52 seconds? The whole thing?
Oh yeah, it's just the eyewitnesses of the plane wing.
The plane wing.
Wait, this is
South
showing
Tower.
on your screen then?
Oh, whoops, wrong screen. You're seeing my sound button. Here, let me show you what I got. I get that one. I got.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Yeah. Anyway, let me share the right screen. Here we go. This one. Here we go. 52 seconds.
The plane smashed into the building. The bottom wing sliced right to my office, and the plane wing is stuck in the office door 20 feet from where I am.
Oh, good Lord. This is terrible.
It was just a tremendous force of pressure.
The plane smashed into the building. The bottom wing sliced right to my office, and the plane wing is stuck in the office door 20 feet from where I am.
That's interesting.
What?
Yeah.
What did he say? The
plane wing. Stanley. Oh, boy.
Brain math.
Thank you. All right. Still look into that. I'd like to, if he's still around, I'd love to talk to him. If anybody would, that'd be something interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, still, what?
That's been known for some time, a long time.
See, I love this. You could be a 9/11 truth forever.
Is the link? It's a link to that in the chat. I don't see it.
Yes, it was 6:06 p.m. He didn't label it.
Yeah, I'm with Jerry on this. There's no way the wing could be intact. Hence my what?
Oh. Yeah, I might misinterpret what he's seeing.
Yeah,
he's been all over the news. And he went down below. He was in World Trade Center 2. He went down to the street level and was getting ready to leave the building. And then somebody said, okay, the elevator doors were closing, because he was in the elevator. And they said, oh, well, leave. It's better if you leave. And he goes, no, I think I better go back up, because he was going to go back up and help people. And he made the choice to go back up.
Wow.
Apparently, this is what his story is. And he ended up being in the crash zone, and he escaped with another guy who was a broker. I can't remember his name. They both ended up getting in the stairwell after the plane hit and making it out just before the building came down. And they're the best friends today. They celebrate that. But anyway, he's been all over. I haven't heard those specific comments about the plane, other than the fact that I know that he says he was looking at it coming at him, and he'd wished he'd made the other decision to leave the building.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I don't know what to make of that.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
That's amazing, Magnus. Thanks. I didn't know about that one either.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, great to see you, Richard, and everyone. Great.
Well, for you guys,
the guy was Clark that went down with that guy, and he's been interviewed many times, and he says the same story.
It's so funny that some of you are to you, this is like old news. Like, what the hell are we talking about?
I love it. That's 9/11 truth.
There's hearing it for the first time. Like, it just goes to show, like Gene said, you never know what somebody knows.
Magnus finds nuggets. Thank you, Magnus.
This forum took 20 years to get established, or 19 or something. You know, it's like, thanks, you guys, Gene, for making this happen, because I didn't know about that, and I never would have met Magnus, perhaps, if I went for this forum.
2 thumbs up, Magnus. Right on. Yep. I have one other thing to share, unless anybody has anything else. Oh, wait, Craig wanted to go back. Let me just share this real quick.
I'll wait till after that.
So the web, I've been using the Web.io, and the latest I uploaded, I asked Grok, the AI, what are the preeminent physics textbooks in use in academia? And it gave me a list. One being obviously Sir Isaac Newton's Principia Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, and then Introduction to Mechanics, Classical Mechanics, more Classical Mechanics, and I even threw up Physics for Dummies just in case it could dumb it down for me. But by doing this, basically I said, Web, okay, this is your brain. I'm putting this into your brain. Here's all the physics books. And then I added it to my 9/11 files. And I asked a question. I said, what is the greatest damningly truthful short statement or question a physicist could say about the free fall of WTC 7 and the 64% free fall with constant acceleration for the Twin Towers. And it came up with a statement and a question. And the statement is, for Building 7, if the free fall section encounters any structural resistance, acceleration must be less than free fall. Observed free fall acceleration proves all resistance was removed before collapse. Can't get around it. Newtonian physics. There's something obviously wrong with the official story. And 2, on the Twin Towers, it says, how can 287 massive steel columns per floor offer zero resistance to a falling building unless they were pre-weakened or removed? And I further got into it. Basically, it says, even if you had buckled, they're showing no resistance. Like even a buckled column, furniture, I can't think what else, would give some resistance. And in the case of Building 7, it offered zero resistance. And it's just preposterous. So pretty neat. If anybody thinks any other cool questions to ask it, send them to me. And it reminded me that, Brian, you had sent me questions for one of the other things I did, and it slipped my mind, but I'll try to track that down and get those answered. But here you have a complete physics brain with all of the Building 7 models, data, or not all the models, all the Building 7 data that we're aware of, even the NC Star NIST, National Construction Safety Team Act documents. But if you could think of something good, and let me know. That's all I had. Let's go. Oh, Carl.
Yes, I decided to come back mostly just to listen because I'm not inclined to say very much and then find it gets redacted out of the recording. But in the chat, I've put links in Dropbox to, in their entirety, 3 of 4 parts of what I gave to Senator Johnson and his committee. I know Barbara has said she wanted to see that material. Part 2, my travel records. I found it only appropriate to share the limited 3 pages that show actual shift schedules at Fresh Kills and at Building 6. If you could show those on the screen, it would be nice. If you could include them in the notes of the show, that would be appreciated.
I'm looking for them. Oh, I found a bunch of stuff. Hang on a second. It's making me download oh, wait, no, it's not. Here we go.
Well, the images are separate from the Dropbox folders.
Yeah, here we should be able to do this, I think.
That's just the back of the file folder. Yeah.
Okay. Hang on. Clicking on them.
So this is like 4 pages out of 60.
Oh.
Or something.
Hang on. They're all coming up.
No, it's just those 4.
Okay. So you got those, and
yeah, if you pull those up, it shows that, specifically our WTC7 shifts were described as what does it say? Evidence
6.
Evidence recovery, evidence detail. Let's see, go to the next page.
Okay. November 3rd.
Yeah, evidence detail.
Yep, let me try the next
Skills,
page.
landfill, evidence detail. Up at the top. So, and one thing I mentioned in the call with, among many things in the call with Mick yesterday, by the way, I think both Mick and Gene, I think both of you, it would be a better approach to, rather than just abruptly saying somebody has to immediately stop talking, is to say you've got 15 seconds to wrap it up.
Yep.
Because it's just a more civil way to let somebody
I gave you that
leave
promise.
the stage.
Yep. You made that suggestion before, and I appreciated it, and it's a good suggestion. Thank you.
And I need to make it to Mick as well, because at the end, I also put in the chat the cover of a book by, he was high-ranking government official in Germany. I think he had oversight to some degree over the military or intelligence functions. I want to say defense minister, but that wasn't his exact title. Andreas von Bülow, he wrote this book, The CIA and September 11th, International Terror and the Role of the Intelligence Services. And I've obtained both a first edition paperback and a more recent one. The more recent one has an afterword and also a looking back 10 years section. There also might be a few subtle changes in the section about Israel and what Israel may have known or done. And I believe I'm going to try to get those translated. It might be one page at a time with AI, but it's interesting that after 25 years, there's never been an English language version. One can still order it even in German off of Amazon.
Or get a wife that speaks German.
you would have thought that Piper, the publisher, would have thought, gosh, there might be a market for this book in America. Well, who controls the publishing interests that they just never decided to make that profit?
Well,
so Barbara,
why not have Google Translate?
Well, that's what, right. There is no PDF at this point that I can find anywhere. So I'm going to have to scan the pages of what I've got.
Yeah,
and
you can scan it. Yeah, scan it. And as long as you don't make any money, you can put it out on the net.
I know that, Barbara. Hey, yeah. Barbara, this is your chance to download those Dropbox folders, by the way.
I'm looking for them. Thank you. I'm looking.
They're earlier on in the chat.
All right. Anything else, Carl?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Back to Ross.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Carl back on. And I was thinking about him and what he brought up about the fact that, you know, some of the editing is common, as Gene has said, among the payrolled opposition. You know, that is the modus operandi. They don't necessarily put out everything that's on their interviews. And but what I thought is, well, you know, why we can take the power in your own hands. Why don't you just record it yourself?
Yeah.
And I don't think Gene, I don't know what kind of, if he has a problem with us sharing.
Nope. Record anything you guys want.
Yeah. So, you know, Carl, you know, I think it's a good point that we should double up with our own recordings if you really care about those kinds of things. Yeah.
I've audio recorded at least half, maybe even most of the sessions I've participated in, not video, but just audio. And I might probably go back and compare with the video versions, and it'll be interesting to see what Gene decided to redact out.
It's mostly just contentious discussions that I find were not profitable for anybody, like fighting. I just don't find that. I don't want to promote fighting, and that's basically it.
I don't think I've ever been. I don't think I've ever been fighting. I've been saying things that you. I mean, to be honest, you've wanted to shut down things I was saying because you didn't like the topic.
I don't know about that.
Well,
because I don't.
It's not about not liking the topic. It's that.
Or the content.
Well, but everything's about the content. I mean, you know.
I'll find out when I go back to see. What I still have on audio that's no longer part of the video.
Yeah, fair enough.
I do want to thank Carl because he saved my butt on the day when I forgot to hit record. So thank you, Carl, for that.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Let's go back to Craig.
Yeah. I just wanted to after we had such a productive discussion about, you know, coming from places of love and this sort of thing and respect and everything, which, you know, I think we maybe made a little progress on that. I do want to add one additional comment, and then I want to give an example where I will test your ability to handle something that you may not think is very loving.
Right on. Oh, cool.
So you can tell me if you think I'm off base in what I'm going to say about that. But I do want to just say this occurred to me, and I think that's indication that we were having a positive exchange there, because it was sparking ideas in my brain about the idea of, because I hear this a lot about, you know, it's important to come from a place of love, and I think that's the whole reason why I'm in the 9/11 Truth Movement in the first place, is a passionate concern for people who are victimized by powerful evildoers, and a passion for the truth. And I think the truth is the most important word in the whole language. And I think other words, love can't exist without truth. I don't think love that's not based on truth isn't really, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a philosopher, but it just occurs to me that truth is at the core of everything.
Yes.
And then, and truth implies, I think, a positive intent and a sincere intent. So that's kind of the way but when I think of, a place of love doesn't mean that you can't call out things that are wrong.
Correct.
Because sometimes you need to be coming from a place of love in order to say this is not right.
Correct.
It doesn't mean you have to be nice to everybody because you're coming from a place of love. If I think to myself, if I were to do a debate with, Michael Shermer or something, I imagine I'd be quite polite with him and respectful. I wouldn't, but it's I don't need to expose him. I think we all know who he is. Okay, so now we're going to jump to the part that we'll see how you feel about it.
Oh, boy.
I was on the Colorado 9/11 Truth call last night.
Yeah, we missed it.
Yeah, well, I can. Well, okay then. I went in there obviously with, not surprisingly, very low expectations for hearing anything that I was going to find helpful. But what I got was much, much worse than that. What we got, and whenever I talk about the Pentagon and I talk about the other group that I find problematic in the movement, I always have to say they support almost everything in the official story where the Pentagon's concerned. I have to always say almost, because there's usually a couple of things like remote control and somebody will, so it's 98% of the official story. With Shanksville, this group, led in this case by Ken Jenkins, because he was premiering a 20-minute film he did on Shanksville, was 100% the official story. And I mean that literally. 100, everything in the official story he believes is true, everything in it. And I again, I was, I think, respectful that night too. And Barb was there and other people, a few other people were there. Although I had the feeling I'd stepped into a completely separate part of the truth movement. Like all these people I'd never heard of. But there was this core group that I always, oppose. And they were kind of operating in this very coordinated fashion. And they were all basically propping up this notion from Ken Jenkins that the official story is 100% true. And I think people need to know that. And the main reason I get upset about watching this kind of thing happen is that it's not that people are going to be convinced. The truth movement's not going to suddenly turn around and support the Shanksville official story. That's never going to happen. But what it might do is, and it's what it's done with the Pentagon, and it may end up doing this with Shanksville, is that people will start to have that little grain of doubt, and they'll go, "Oh, maybe it's not so clear, and I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave that for other people because it's." And this is the damage that can be done and is being done.
Yeah, but that's not our. Yeah, but that's not our. I think you keep sharing your truth, as you said, that people are going to hear this, and if it doesn't resonate with people, it's just not going to go anywhere. We can't really say, well, don't listen to this because
I'm not saying don't listen to it.
Yeah, I know you did say it. You said it's adhering to the official account, and I think there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Well, I mean, don't we have a problem with the official story of 9/11?
Yeah.
Isn't that why we're all here? Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well,
I don't know why you're here, Brian, honestly.
Wait, hang on.
I think you're here to take shots at me.
I'm sure you don't.
No, we agree with certain aspects that align with the official. Like we all agree that, sorry, Craig, I got to use this one. We do all agree that the plane hit the towers. Well, maybe not all of us. The majority of us agree that the planes hit the towers. I think we all can agree that planes, whether or not there were planes or weren't planes, I think there were, that planes or no planes, that didn't cause the buildings to collapse.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, and
we agree with that. But
so the official story is that planes hit the buildings, and we could all agree on that.
We've all but yeah, we've been down that path 100 times, and we've said that many times. Now I'm hearing this for the first time, so I'm kind of like observing myself, listening to you sharing this for the first time, because we missed the call yesterday.
Yeah.
When we left a baby shower early just to attend mixed call, and then after mixed call, it just went over our heads. Anyways, so I was curious to know how it went, and we wanted to see the movie after we looked for it. We couldn't find it, so I guess it's not posted yet. And I didn't know there was a discussion after that, which I would love to see.
Yep.
So I'm hearing this for the first time. And so I'm putting myself in a situation now where what would I do, right? If I had been on that call, if I had been part of a discussion, and I think I would have just, for absolute clarity's sake, and maybe would have been clear anyway, but for absolute clarity and certainty, I would have made my question. Are you saying that the plane buried itself? Are you saying
yes
that the let's roll thing? No, I'm not asking you. I would ask them.
Yeah.
Right? Are you saying?
Well, I'm saying that they did say that directly. Yeah.
Okay.
They said it straight out.
And even if they did, for my own sake, I would reiterate the very question. Are you saying all of this? And if they said yes to all of that, then I would be like, I've got nothing to say to you. That would be
they
my
did in
only
fact say all that. So
And if they can really say all of that, then to me, it's even beyond being able to have a discussion about it. If you stand by all of those things, to me, that is so absurd that I cannot even have a discussion. I won't even try to convince you. I just want to make sure that I understand clearly your position. And if that's what you say it is, and you're telling me, yes, it is.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
missing a
sorry.
key
There's
step,
nothing
Sandra.
left to say. I'm sorry?
You're missing a key step in the process here. Because as you've said before, this is all about evidence, not their conclusions. So then the question is really, what is the evidence for this plane burying itself? What's the evidence for the plane not being shot down? What happened to, why is there another pile of wreckage 8 miles away? Why are there witnesses of a shoot down?
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
You're right.
Those are the questions
I don't think there
that
are.
you should be asking, not jumping to the conclusions, am I in or am I out?
Yeah.
I guess, but I would have to assume that these things were addressed. I mean, again, I would have to watch it. I would have had to have been part. Now I'm talking totally in the abstract, assuming that all of this was very much clarified. And if this was the ground they stood on, then and the hill they died on, then I would have, if they wrote off all the questions that you just asked about evidence.
I kind of like what Richard's going at. It's the what's it called? Socratic method.
Yeah, ask the question,
just keep asking questions.
Yeah.
It's great.
Right. Oh, well, that's what I think went on last night. People asked questions. I asked, I took 2 turns and for example, I said, Dominic DiMaggio, who's the guy that went down there, and I know we talked about him last week. He went down and interviewed like dozens of people in person, some people on the phone, but some people. And, I did talk to him this week, and we did discuss this. And he told me about all the people that he had talked to that saw a small craft that they described as a military type craft. He thinks it's a drone, some kind, very, very small, kind of white in color, that was flying very low over the treetops. And some of them actually saw it right near the alleged crash site at the time there was this big explosion. So now, Dominic's conclusion from that is that some kind of explosive thing was dropped on that field in order to create the crater or whatever. But leaving that aside, I presented this to Ken. I said, well, Dominic's, first of all, the animation that he showed that is totally the official flight path of the whole thing. I was looking at it. I was noticing that on the left of the plane, I think it was the left of the plane, was Indian Lake, which is east of the crash site. So I thought, is there more than one lake that's like a U-shaped lake like that? Maybe there is, and maybe I just need to get a map out. But it sure looked to me like the plane was flying west in his animation. So I questioned that. He didn't know. He just said, well, maybe there's another lake that looks like that. But the point is, I talked to him about these people that Dominic interviewed, and I said they all said they saw they all kind of corroborate each other. Some people saw it near the alleged crash site. Some people saw it over Indian Lake. There were several people he interviewed around Indian Lake that saw a plane, and there are other people that saw a large plane kind of coming from like the north.
And
coming
how did
across.
he take it?
Well, he just said, well, he just brushed it off as like, the preponderance of the evidence says that the official story got it right. So in other words, we don't need, I've already got the preponderance of the evidence. So we'll just, we don't need the other stuff.
Yeah. Well, so just keep asking questions.
Well, I'll ask questions and I'll make statements that I think people need to hear. And I think the problem is nobody's asking these people questions. That's the big problem. People are not challenging them enough, and they should be doing so. So
on that note, Craig, I agree with you, because we're being admins of the Facebook 9/11 Truth Movement group, and 99% of the people are just there for entertainment purposes, just clicking likes, and nobody really wants to invest thinking about it, asking critical thought process questions, really is trying to work your way through these issues. And I thank you, because all of you guys, I see you guys week in, week out, either here, there, or any other place. You guys are the people that are putting those thoughts into it, and I appreciate that.
And I don't disagree with you. Maybe there's not enough of a challenge there. And I do want to thank Richard. You are right. That would be the next step to take, is to ask those very specific questions and clarification on the evidence that we do have, or at least on the witness testimonies that we have from various sources. And
one thing that they do is that they basically treat all the government-controlled evidence as 100% reliable and genuine.
Which is just
you know what
odd,
I mean?
yeah.
So that's a problem. Like, why do we believe the government in these two cases, but we don't believe them at the World Trade Center?
Right.
I mean, they've got an official story there too. We don't accept it. Why would anybody accept the other parts of it?
Yeah,
Interesting point. I got a lot of hands and I want to eat, so let's get through the hands and then we're going to go around the room. So Susie, you're up.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
How apropos after
Hi, Susie.
Craig, Sandra, and Richard, that I wanted to bring this up. Number one, as far as what I've been finding online, trying to reap some information, get a little more expansion on what people are thinking and what they're awakening to. On a lot of these 9/11 platforms, the contention that comes up is when I'm asking the questions. And I have to say, some people are referring to this exact war room that we have going on right now and actually using that as fuel to say that the 9/11 truth movement is dead.
Yeah.
Because there's no progress being made whatsoever that they can see. There's 3 individuals that I'm in constant contention with that I just have to walk away a lot of the times. 3 in particular that just keep coming batting the official story. So I just wanted to say that yes, asking questions, like my last interaction with someone is, what exactly are your grievances here about the evidence that we have to present? And the fact that we've made it this far and going to Congress, and they're like, well, Congress is, Ron Johnson's full of conspiracy theories and all this kind of stuff, which in evidence that they acknowledge that the government is involved in conspiracy theories. So I rest my case there. But the other thing I want to bring up was I did do a little bit further research on Shanksville about that 95% recovery rate of the plane. And what I found was that the FAA in starting its investigation didn't end up finishing its investigation because the FBI moved in and it was turned over to the FBI. So I'm curious if Ian Carroll has any information on IO about those FBI documents, if they might be involved in there. I'm not accessing it, so I'm going to lead that for you, Gene,
All
if
right.
it's something you want to pursue.
Yeah.
But what I did find out was that the excuse that was given by the FAA was that, first of all, it's not a mandatory protocol for them to reconstruct planes after a plane crash unless they're seeking probable cause. And their excuse was that they found probable cause, which is why they didn't do what they should have done, and that was all contained within the black box recordings from the plane, saying they knew what the cause was, and that was that the hijackers were overrun by the passengers, and that's what brought the plane down. They also said that the way that they came to the 95% number was they weighed all of the debris that was excavated 40 feet below the surface, and it was weighed in truckloads going to storage. So that's what they did, was the 95% number came from the weight of the plane, the cargo, the people, and to me that's like all a bunch of hearsay.
And then they reburied, right?
Yeah.
Reburied
Yeah.
it, right?
Yes, and that was something to honor the families. It was some kind of agreement that was come to in some meeting or something. I didn't get further into it, but
how convenient, yes.
I just want to.
So,
yep.
Go ahead.
No, I just want to go back to your other statement, but finish what you were saying there.
That was really it. I mean, that's as far as I got with it. So I don't know, how that might help Richard or Gail in the future. But so like I said, I'm just curious if there are any FBI documents available that state when they took over that investigation, and if there's any documentation to the rest of the investigation.
Sounds like Charlie Kirk when the FBI came in, everything else was shut down.
Yeah, thanks.
That's right.
Well,
that's it.
Sandra, you said reburied. What did you mean by reburied? If they dug up somewhere near 95% or even half of the plane, are you saying they then put it back in the ground and covered it over with a monument?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
We found that in an article I think we covered last week. Let's see if I can dig that up. No pun intended.
Missed that.
I want to go back to what you first said, Susie, about the 9/11 truth movement being dead. With everybody in the room here, does anybody, how do I ask this? Somebody that asks such a question or makes such a statement that the 9/11 truth movement is dead is not speaking. It just doesn't seem like it's a genuinely good thing for the 9/11 truth movement. Somebody's like trying to purposefully, if they claim to be part of the 9/11 truth movement and they're just trying to, kill the movement. That's why you would say something like that. Or, I wanted to look back in history real quick through my mind of what's happened since then. 2006, 7, Richard finds AE 9/11 Truth, which 9/11 Truth movement wouldn't even be around today if it wasn't for the efforts of that. 2018, we had the University of Alaska Fairbanks. 2019, the Lawyers Committee went to the Supreme Court trying to get them to hear a grand jury investigation. We had the request for correction. We got through with firefighters at an FPA conference and got to get to Rowell writing an article, to get to Kurt Weldon, to get to Ron Johnson. Like, people can sit there and belittle on the truth movement's dead, but everybody here and all these organizations have been trying their hardest to try to raise awareness and bring this to attention. It's certainly not dead. Have we seen the final nail in the coffin to get justice? No. But
yeah,
and I agree with you. What I'm saying is, they're deaf to all of that, because no matter how many times you bring it up, I mean, I did have a discussion, when they said none of the families, the whole thing about respect for the families, you're pounding this into the ground and you're causing issues and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, listen, if it wasn't for, yes, of course, Richard later on too, but if it wasn't for the the Jersey girls, you know, Patty and Kristen and all of them, you wouldn't even have a NIST report or a commission report to argue over. You know, they started the true 9/11 truth movement.
Yeah, overlook on my part. Yeah, this family steering committee, huge for us. Like, where would we be if without them?
Every step mattered. Every step mattered. And the thing is, ultimately, to make a statement, the 9/11 truth movement is dead. It's not, it has no meaning. It doesn't have a factual basis. It is just a perception.
Yeah.
It's just a perception. You know,
it's propaganda.
It's propaganda, but it's basically you're projecting your own vision onto the wall of what you're saying. You know, this is the kind of situation where what you're saying says a lot more about you, the speaker, than the thing that you're talking about. You know, and I remember, you know, hearing when someone say, "Oh, all men are jerks," you know, and I'm thinking, well, okay, that's a big statement. First of all, absolutely not. We know this for a fact. So if you're saying it, what you're really telling me is that your experience of men is that they're jerks. So you're telling me a lot more about you than about the men that are out there, right? So it's kind of the same thing. It's just projecting your own, you know, vision, and it's just a negative one, and so be it.
Yeah, I mean that it's prevalent. It's frivolous what they're bringing up, but you know, it's kind of hard to keep love in your heart, smile on your face when discussing that. I'm the first to say that I have to walk away. I have to take a deep breath.
But however, self-love, Susie, that's self-love. That counts for something too.
Yeah, don't feed the bears. Let's use the same tactic the government uses on us. Just don't talk about it. Just don't give them any airtime. Just don't feed the bears. And it's
as much as, and there are so many situations where, whether it's an email or a post or something like that, where I read it and I'm like literally like,
right,
you know, and I know not to reply in that moment, and walking away is the hardest thing, but I know I will thank myself later for having done that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I just did want to let you know, though, that part of that conversation, this person apparently listened to the broadcast of our session with Patty.
Yeah.
And
we know exactly who you're talking about, Susie.
And Judy Wood, and stating that you know, now he's on this this trajectory of how, you know, someone who's in the truth movement, a family member, is now stating, you know, that they're direct energy weapons and all this kind of stuff. So just kind of to discredit what we talk about on the War Room. And that's where we're not making any progress.
I wish them the best in what they want to pursue. It doesn't resonate with me, but I'm done trying to vilify them. I'm done with, you know, I'm not going to go watch those videos. I'm not going to sit there and listen to somebody just harshly criticizing. There's no, it's just toxic, and I don't want to hear about it. And now, if we could have a civil conversation, if he'd want to come on the program and let's talk about one thing, not let's talk about one thing and then he posts 20 other things in it's just overwhelming. There's a debate tactic where you just overwhelm your opponent with information and then they can't even reply to one topic, and that seems to happen.
I don't think any of that is sincere anyway. There's more to it.
I'm going to try to do, I promise to you guys, I give you my word, I'm going to try every time I do this, a better job at trying to be real, trying to be honest, trying to seek truth, not try to do this to be right, but honestly a heart issue. And the reason for the War Room was just to get all of us in a group, just to talk about the new news for the week, to keep everybody on the same page, kind of like what's the thing going on this week. And I think we do a pretty good job at that. And forgive me for those of you guys who I've stepped on your toes. I'll name a few here: Carl, Roy. There's two that I've stepped on your toes. Chuck, maybe a couple times. Like, I apologize. Craig, I miss Craig. How could I miss Craig? No, but you know, we're trying to do the best we can, and we're human, and it's just rough. But thank you, Susie. I'm trying to get through these hands because I'm really, really hungry.
You guys all gave us a lot of homework there. I got a list of things that we have to run through things.
I think was you up next, Chuck?
Yeah, I think I'm next.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
So Patricia Casaza was on. I missed the show. But you didn't shut her down because she raised the Judy Wood energy weapon theme.
Nope, did not.
We didn't.
And I gave the promise that I would not take anything out of the program. It went up whole. And
she was not shut down. She had a lot of time to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, what I've heard what you said today about, we're in the truth movement, open, honest, blah, blah, blah. But aren't you under any kind of moral, ethical pressure to open up on these topics of energy weapon, no airplane, and be more open and wide ranging in the themes that you would cover? That's just,
honest question. Yeah. So for each and every person here, you've researched as much as you may or may not have. I've gone down those rabbit holes enough to say it doesn't resonate with me. I'm not saying it's not true. It just, we hear the truths we hear the truths against on any subject. We go down and we do our own research. We see the evidence. We take our own thoughts. And for me, those topics don't resonate with me, but I'm not saying don't talk about it. I mean, Patty was on here and she brought up all her points, and I didn't say don't talk about that. Or, with Norman, it's like we do have disagreements, and it came off animated, and that was back when I was not in this frame of mind. So I bit back hard, and we just come off very classless towards each other. Again, I just find basic things on those two topics that you brought up that it doesn't resonate with me. But and I don't want to, in my opinion, after looking at them, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about them, because in my opinion, I don't find that the time could be better spent, because I only have 2 hours, and we already have the news that takes us to about 5:20, 5:30, and then we get through the hands, and then we have a little bit of time for around the table. And I wanted to try to be done by 7. It's already 6:51, and we haven't even finished the hand. So this is a tough. And people that wanted to talk about those subjects on their platforms, I fully support it. And going to Boston 9/11 Truth's call, listen to it. Tap's called. You guys talk about it, and we're listening.
And if I can just add, part of it also, and I think we would have shut it down a lot earlier had it not been Patty.
Right.
Patty was, I mean, it's,
I got ridiculed for saying that my heart fluttered. Like, truly, I got a little bit of what's it called? Celebrity shock. Like, this is Patty Casaza. We all know who Patty Casaza is, and she means a lot to us, I think.
Right.
And I got vilified for just showing that I had some endearing.
Right, but but beyond that, the historical context of obviously being one of the Jersey Girls and stuff like that, obviously as much as close a family member of a person who died that day is, I mean, that's as close as it gets, right? Immediate family relation, husband, wife, mother, parents, child, or whatever. So there is a sense of, I think it's just the human thing to do, is to take that into account. We don't want to be biased negatively against certain people, and maybe that means we shouldn't be biased positively towards other people, but it's very hard. We are human, and she's just been through trauma. And when someone mocked me for when she showed up on one of the podcasts, and we were listening to her story, and I really got very emotional listening to her, because it just brought back the reason why we do this. And so yeah, I was mocked for being human and apparently being affected by her testimony, listening to it. But that's it. Some people lose sight of the fact that we're all human. And so had it been somebody else coming in with the evidence, we would have probably shut it down a heck of a lot sooner. I'll tell you that.
It's just not a topic that I care to spend a large amount of time on.
But we played favorites with Patty. We absolutely did.
Okay, so I got to go, and I'll say wish everybody a great week. All I would invite you Gene, is, you know, I've remarked on things you've shown, and I said I see that turning into dust, and I talked about the guy who survived the building 3.
Yep.
South Tower came down, and all I would invite you to do is not be so reactively suppressive, and just blow this stuff off. I mean, it's not your thing.
Right. But I could also say the same thing to you. You're very dismissive when I say that that the column fell down through the dust. You just don't want to hear that, and you dismiss.
Well, I mean, we're talking about what we're witnessing.
Right. You witness it one way, I witness the other way. So it's just
that's a remarkable thing. So that the fact that you would create a space in your war room for people to theoretically talk about it or talk past one another as whatever it would be is cordial on your part, for sure. So all I'm saying is, yeah, I mean,
would you be open to talking about the fact that the column fell down through the dust?
Through the smoke.
Column through the dust. Well, I'm happy to talk about what is that stuff.
Okay.
What is that smoky looking stuff? We can talk about that. And again, I'll close with this, that I think in the course of doing truth work, avoiding the categoricals is optimal, and holding some agnosticism is preferable, and looking for those points of consensus, like they've made a false report, and I think we should be naming names. This is to Susan Serpa at the Boston group, where they don't speculate on who actually did it. I think that's the appropriate thing. I think we should be speculating on who did it. But that's, there's a number of ways to go with this. But accountability and justice is not a dead issue, but it's been 25 years that this has been out there, and we can't say we've made much progress toward that.
No. I
disagree
can't.
with that.
Totally hard to disagree with we haven't made much progress. I think I just gave a whole list of things that we've done in these 25 years.
That's not disputable. But the question is justice. I mean, there hasn't been any justice.
Understood.
Justice is going to be the most difficult thing, but we've come a long way in the court of public opinion.
There's only one final nail in the coffin. We've gotten the coffin, we've got the lid, we're starting to put the nails in the coffin, but there's only one nail in the coffin. No, we haven't accomplished the final nail in the coffin, but I think we're all there.
Let's be clear why. The courthouse door has been slammed in our face every time.
Yes.
We have to find other avenues.
Fair enough. Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate you. See, that was a nice, cordial conversation. I don't know why he has to drop off immediately.
Okay, he's right there.
Oh, okay. I just heard somebody leave. Sorry.
I'm going to be peeling off, but thanks. Have a great week, everybody.
You as well, sir. Thank you. Magnus.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying I have to go too, and I just want to ask you, can you please confirm if you have seen this video before? I just resend it in the chat.
All right.
It's small explosions.
One last video from Magnus. Let me get it there.
Maybe it's 1 minute into it or something, but it's about explosions there. I couldn't get the text on it, so we have to check it out. Thank you.
Okay. Let me get there. About 1 minute into it. Let's go to 52 seconds. Here we go. Everybody listen.
Thank you. Maybe I will try to find it later to you, but have you seen it before?
I didn't hear anything. Where was I supposed to hear something there?
I'm supposed the guy is talking about the explosions, and I'm just asking you if you have seen this video before.
I don't think I've seen this one before.
Okay, save it and use earplugs, and I'm sure he is talking about smaller explosions in front of Building 7.
Oh, okay. I don't even think I heard that, though.
Yeah, I missed that, too.
Stanley Premus, the guy that Magnus showed earlier,
Yeah.
He escaped with Brian Clark,
Oh.
and there's 5 videos about it, and they talk about explosions, and one explosion
right.
pinned Bramness, so he couldn't get out, and Clark had to smash through a wall to get him out.
All right, let me finish
So
this
the
video here.
that Magnus showed
Okay.
has a lot of talk of explosions in it.
All right, hang on. Here we go.
They told me just to wait here at this semi-staging area. See if I can help, and that's what I'm doing. They won't let me go any closer. No one can go in to get the people out. There's small explosions still going on.
Oh,
There we go. There's small explosions.
Yeah, thanks for playing that twice. I missed that.
Yeah. There. So that was actually around the 135 mark. If anybody clicks on that, that there. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, and have a great week, everyone. And
You as
keep
well,
up the
Magnus.
great work.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Magnus.
Oh man, more hands. A lot of hands. Carl, go ahead.
Thank you. I have 3 points I wanted to address that actually another recommendation is I think it's generally better if everyone stays muted while somebody's speaking unless you acknowledge them having raised a hand or unless you, Gene, personally think you need to interrupt to clarify or something. So first point on the topic of, the status of the truth movement. Well, there are like 30 to 50 or maybe a couple hundred of us out of 300 million who are involved in the Zoom calls and the conferences and such, which is actually it's somewhat parallel to what the JFK movement was like even 25 years ago. And among my concerns is that 9/11 quote truth is being managed much like the JFK truth movement was quote managed, which was to never allow it to get close to the subject of who ultimately benefited. Ultimately, the Israel question with nuclear weapons with JFK, and 9/11 in furtherance of the global war on terror and the Greater Israel Project. So my concern is that, the 25-year mark is a crucial point, and my concern is that the hearings, whatever hearings might happen, people will look to those to be like the revelation of truth. And if they stop short of calling out 9/11 as false flag terrorism, that the people who were claimed to have done all of that could not have done it. They certainly didn't benefit from it. It's what's crucial is that the term false flag terrorism needs to be brought to bear on the events of 9/11. And I'm hopeful that will happen with Johnson's hearings. Point 2, concerning Flight 93, when people write a script for how things are going to unfold, I mean, I've done this in a very small way with undercover operations with customs where, we would walk through, all right, people are flying in from Chicago, we're going to meet them. We're going to discuss these things at a meal. If they say this, we say this, blah, blah. We take them to the warehouse, we show them the weapons, whatever, to be exported, and it's all scripted. And if people were scripting out everything they wanted to accomplish with 9/11, I think it's perfectly reasonable that the idea of the Flight 93, the valiant passengers who crashed the plane, they couldn't have picked a better spot economically for Pennsylvania than right where it happened, because that's a very isolated area. It was very rural, but maybe mostly agricultural. And I've spoken with people there when I've stopped in, stayed at a hotel, gone through a restaurant, and it's sort of boomed economically because there's a lot of tourism now about visiting it's a national park area. So, for the next 100 years, there will be school groups being taken there by bus from all over the East Coast, especially to be indoctrinated to the story, just like, up at Ground Zero. So just think of that potentially as, did they pick that spot on purpose in advance to create, even foreseeing this is what would be created there? And somewhat tying into that, point number 3, I put a link in the chat to a book concerning Arnon Milken, the self-confessed Israeli spy who was a producer of major films from JFK, the Medusa Touch, where commercial aircraft are flown into buildings, high rises, to Fight Club. And the comment I want to make about Fight Club, I mentioned in the call with Mick, militaries around the world have learned that if your military doesn't fight a war every so many years, you lose the ability to fight wars because at the officer level, you need to have people who know what it is to go out and intentionally kill and destroy. And that's a skill that could be lost over time. And that Fight Club sort of points to the notion that I tend to think the intelligence entities of, well, the US, Israel, whoever, they probably have a bit of a gentleman's agreement that, yeah, we're on the watch. We don't want you doing anything on our turf. But if you do it to us and you get away with it, well, it's a learning experience for us. You better be ready for the blowback when we come back and do something on your turf. So in that context, this is almost meant humorously, but CIA might have considered what happened with WTC-7 to have been a professional courtesy of Mossad, or Mossad behind it to that extent that, yeah, let's have some fires in the building and we won't bring it down till the end of the day. And, give CIA, that's where their main offices are in New York. Let everybody have a chance to evacuate. Yeah, we don't want to kill their people. That would really, create a lot of friction. So and maybe they want a new building and, Silverstein will rebuild it. They'll get better designed offices and IT capabilities that they currently have. So WTC-7 as a professional courtesy. Beyond that, let's see what else I think that'll do it for now.
I was trying to did Northern Milken also have something to do with the Alfred P. Murrah building?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I reminded something. Okay, the JFK film that Oliver Stone directed, funded by Milken as a producer. Out of that came the Assassination Records Review Board and the JFK Records Act, where the ARRB was supposed to consolidate every possible record about the assassination and make sure they were preserved, protected, and ultimately supposed to be available to all of us in 2017.
Yeah,
but
that wasn't what I asked, though.
Well, let me just finish this point. You reminded me of an important point there.
Yeah, but Roy,
as far as how these things are used.
Carl, I gave you 6 minutes to talk. 6 minutes uninterrupted, which is
15
longer than
seconds to wrap it up.
Okay, go ahead.
So the ARRB was headed by a man who, when he left as executive director, he became executive director of the Holocaust Museum in D.C. And I've asked people on his former staff, and they said, oh, yeah, if there's anything about Israel in the JFK papers, he would have suppressed it. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Jane.
Thank you. I just want to first express how much I value the time that has been devoted more in the earlier part of our session tonight to our process and how we communicate what we think is valid evidence or truth or whatever you want to call it to others.
Mm-hmm.
And I also was hesitant to bring up a member of our 9/11 Truth community who has stirred a lot of controversy in meaning Norman. And in our Boston 9/11 Truth group, we've had more deeper dive into that controversy. But I guess he's an example of somebody whom I understood from a previous TAP session via Mike Zorzano, who had a conversation with him. And Norman is from South Africa, apparently. Mm-hmm. Anyway, there was some rapprochement about their mutual understanding of how the way you communicate what you think is true is important. So that was helpful to me because he made reference, to the very turbulent, polarized environment, culture that Norman has perhaps been part of, and we don't know what his psychological issues are. I don't think he's an agent, a disinformation agent by any means, but there is some clear lack of any self-reflection, no a smidgen of apology or recognition that perhaps the way he's communicating what his valid research is the impact that it has. So anyway, I just feel that the process that we have of trying to, fine tune and nuance the way we have of trying to wake people up to what is true, and there's a lot that we agree on.
Yep.
Is so important, and I have a really a strong heart connection with that process, and the thing one thing that just puzzles me that I'm not sure if Norman is the only one who said this, but a partial truth is still whole lies, or
That's
slight.
Oops,
And
sorry.
and that to me just, we all have partial truths in our exploration of what is true, and for him to completely say that it's a whole lie if you don't agree with the whole truth,
yeah. I think, and I could be wrong. I think he's quoting Patty on that. I think that's Patty's quote.
Yep, yep.
And he
okay.
reiterates it many times over.
Okay.
Like the mantra that it is.
Could be. I think I may have understood that. Yeah. Anyway, that's my offering for tonight. Yeah.
I guess for me and Norman, I really want to where we can totally agree. And it's the one that Chuck said, and it's the one that Sue said. We were lied to. Everybody here, we were lied to. We all agree we were lied to. And I'll say it again. I know some people don't like it, but we all agree that fire didn't cause the collapse of buildings 1, 2, and 7. And I think, if there's only 2 things we can stand on together, we can stand on that. From there, and it's the same problem with the Catholics and the Protestant Reformation. Now that we've got Protestants, there's like every kind of Protestant. There's Baptists, Methodists, and this and that, and everybody's disagreeing on the fine.
Sure, it's human nature to divide and to take sides and fight each other, and that's why the system uses it against us. We just keep falling into it, and right now we're just poking the bear again.
Here's the thought process I'm going with, just to be real with you guys, and I got to sit and think about this hard. I was going to say, beware of the folks that direct all their energy into fighting with other people in the movement instead of the government, if you will. But then I know where I'm tripped up here around the Pentagon, without naming names, because now I don't know what to do with that, because it's not necessarily attacking the person, you're attacking the argument. That's the first thing. What somebody said at the beginning, I think it was Barbara, she was alluding to the common phrase, quote, that attack the person, or attack the evidence, not the person. So as long as you can continue to share your truth, it's in opposition to somebody else that's in the movement, go ahead and do that. But I think we should just try to do it in a more loving way, if you will. I know the word, you say love, and everyone's like, oh, love and peace. And no, I mean, love can be firm, can be corrective, but it shouldn't be disrespectful.
Right. And I will just say, we don't know, to try to understand where somebody's coming from.
That too. Yeah.
Whether it's the information, which is one category, or the tone, we don't know what, in this instance, what Norman's whole psychological development trauma may have been. And
yeah, I don't mean to.
We probably,
sorry, Norman.
We may never not ever know.
You know what? Yes. Jane, I love you.
Yeah.
I really do. I agree with everything that you're saying to a point. There is, to me, no excuse ever for the sheer disrespectful tone. I mean, it's beyond disrespectful. It is demeaning, degrading, abrasive, toxic. Okay, it's all of those things. It has crossed every line that as where I draw lines, and my line is really it's very basic for respect.
I got a cap to this.
Yeah.
I love you both, but yeah, we gotta.
Yeah, well, and we have anyways, and that's, so I've reclused myself from, I've cut that line completely.
Yeah.
There is no crossing that. Jean's still very open
I'll forgive anybody.
And I want to say, to me, a good marker of the sincerity of someone in this argument is just even the tiniest iota of humility,
Yeah.
humbleness, the ability to say, maybe I don't have everything right, maybe I need to consider something else.
Exactly.
If there's even just a little bit of that, then to me that can already go very far in repairs.
All right, we're 7:15. I need to get through the hands. We're going around the table. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Sandra.
Barb.
Yeah, thanks. I missed about 15 minutes of it driving home, so I'm not sure what was in that. The first thing is just housekeeping. I am not able, if Carl Golovin is still, he went away, didn't he?
No, he's here.
Oh, no, he's here. Yeah. Carl, I tried to copy the document from the chat, and I wasn't able to. So I've sent you an email asking you to just send me the full link. I was able to read the link, but not able to copy it. So that's number one. Maybe there was more than one document if you could send me the direct link. The comment I wanted to make, maybe not everybody was on the Ken Jenkins special event for Colorado 9/11 Truth. I would just like to point out kind of a big picture of that from my point of view. And that is, it is correct that the film and the comments by Ken Jenkins and Wayne Coste were 100% for the official story. That is correct. I would like to add that I have to look at it again, but it was definitely my impression that all of the evidence that they used to support the official story were government documents. So what do you expect? Okay, that's number one. And number two, this is the last thing. Towards the end, Warren Stutt was on this special event, and he's in New Zealand, I believe, Australia or New Zealand, I think New Zealand. Warren Stutt is the FDR data analyst who allegedly found the last frame from the Pentagon, the last 4 seconds, that just happened to be the exact official story from the very point that the radar was not available because the plane was too low. That's number one. And number two, I asked the question of him at the very end. I said, okay, so you have now told us that you've analyzed the FDR data from the Pennsylvania plane. And I would like to ask you if the National Transportation Safety Board and anything that you read from the NTSB, you've read all those documents, looked at all their data, did they reveal to the public in anywhere the serial number of the flight data recorder or the cockpit voice recorder? And what's very interesting is that he lowered his head and mumbled the word no.
No.
And so I repeated it. I said, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Could you answer the question again? I just didn't hear. And then he said a little bit louder, no. This is very important because you have to have the serial numbers in order to connect the FDR to the physical plane with the unique tail number. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Barb. Let's go to Craig and then John, and we're going around the room.
You can consider this my going around the room turn too, so I can save you that. One thing that, just based on what Barb just mentioned, I wonder if we have somebody in the movement. We don't have Rob Balsamo anymore. We don't have pilots for 9/11 Truth doing anything anymore. But do we have a pilot that is capable, or somebody other than Warren Stutt who's capable of analyzing raw data from an FDR? I throw that out there because I think we need somebody that's capable of doing that. Rob Balsamo definitely went after Warren Stutt. They went back and forth in the pilots forum for a very long time, and it's very difficult for a non-pilot to follow the discussion. It certainly sounded like Rob was kind of, besting him from what a layman could see, because Rob seemed to know what he was talking about. But I don't know if we could even get those discussions back again. But somebody needs to.
The answer, Craig, is yes, and his name is Dennis Semino. He's alive.
Oh, I remember. Yeah,
he was
is
a
he
Navy
still,
FDR analyst expert.
Well, okay then.
Does it require someone to be a pilot, Craig?
No, it does. Well, Warren Stutt's not a pilot. Warren Stutt works in a grocery store, as far as I know.
Well, what about Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins.
Tony. Well, as far as reading flight, maybe, I don't know. I was going to give you another resource, possibly. If you go to archive.org, the old military officers for 9/11 Truth site, the new one stinks, and they don't have. This is the new one, and they don't list anything on here really. But the old one in archive.org has a list of all of these Air Force, all these pilots. Unfortunately, like Bob Bowman's passed away, but
Langford,
some of these might still be around.
You need an FDR data analyst expert.
That Rocky
pilot. He's dead. He died.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that are probably not.
And even then, these guys might not be able to read a flight data recorder. They're just pilots.
Yeah, I'm thinking. If it requires a pilot, then I would check with Tony Robbins and.
It doesn't require a pilot.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be somebody from the FAA or something like that.
Let me say something more about Dennis Semino. Dennis Semino was the former Navy FDR expert and data analyst who spoke at the Vancouver 9/11 hearings. And his presentation, he also signed a sworn affidavit I have in my computer that he did the analysis of the Pentagon FDR data, the alleged Pentagon FDR data that we know couldn't have come from Flight 77. That was part of my presentation at the DC conference. And he said that the fingerprints are all over it, that it was created on what he calls a bench. In other words, it was artificially created.
Yeah, Gene just pulled this thing up here.
Yeah, this is from the old Pilots for 9/11 Truth website, I guess.
And that's where he was cited.
Yep.
Yeah, that's Rob that wrote that, I think.
Yeah, he was also Bob Balsamo's FDR expert.
Yeah.
He's alive.
Well, that'd be great to touch base with him again. Unfortunately, those articles seem to have survived, but I'm not sure the whole forum did. That's really where some of the really juicy stuff is.
Yeah, it's all.
But I want to just make a couple of, in my concluding remarks here, a couple of quick points. And I want to agree, going back to what Richard said about it, it's about evidence. It's not about the conclusion. I agree with that. Obviously I can't summarize, 2 hours of evidence in a couple of sentences here. Obviously, so we're dealing in broad strokes on this call. I think evidence, but I think if you believe that Flight 93 buried itself in the middle of a field, completely under the ground, leaving a ditch, then I think that's a huge red flag. And I do want to also say that watching this event last night, I felt like I was watching a very choreographed, do I dare say it? PSYOP is what I felt like I was watching. I encourage people to watch it because I think
is it watchable, Craig? Is it up somewhere?
Well, I don't know that they've posted it yet.
Okay.
Because I would share it with a few people. I'd like to watch it too. I assume they post their videos, but I'm not sure how long they normally take to do that. Certainly Jenkins is 21-minute film that I forgot to mention this. I really wanted to mention this. He showed a 11-minute film of Tim Lambert, who was apparently the homeowner of the land where the plane allegedly crashed. And honest to God, I felt like I was watching a Hollywood production in this. This was the most sappiest, emotion-tugging,
all personal opinion, but
bit of propaganda that I've seen in a very long time. Like phony.
Okay, we can see that. Determine that for ourselves.
There you go. That's the best way to say it.
I'm just telling you what I think. You definitely. I want you to check it for yourself. But I think Anyway, I guess that's pretty much all I had to say.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah,
Jack.
Yes, I looked up Stanley Premus, and Brian Clark is the other person who escaped with him. And what happened is that Stanley Premus went back up to help people, and he went into a floor, and there was a massive explosion, and it threw a wall and a desk on top of him. He was trapped. He couldn't move at all, but he had people going down the stairs, and he was near that wall, so he started banging on the wall and begging for help. And Brian Clark came down and did an incredible imitation. He just smashed everything and kicked and smashed and got into that floor through the wall and kicked the desk off and dragged Stanley Premus out. And they went down to the outside, and then the building fell down a minute later. But they're testifying that there were explosions right before the building went down.
Did Brian see the plane wing too?
No, I don't think they worked close together, and it could have been the tail. It could have been a piece of plane that wasn't necessarily the wing
or an aileron.
And just defending Patty Cosenza, I do have a girlfriend like that, and she is not good mechanically, so she'll find something and she'll get mad. She'll say, "You said this and you said this and prove that," and she doesn't understand that aluminum can melt at a low temperature, or you need to put oil in the car, things like that. and so it's the best qualities of a woman, but she's not good with mechanics.
Okay, thank you,
Thanks.
Jack. Don't speak disparagingly of a woman. Just kidding. That was funny. Thank you, sir. All right,
Yeah,
let's go
really.
let's go around the room.
Women can't drive there.
Yeah. Mike Cook, anything for the group?
I just ask y'all to keep myself and Lindsay in your thoughts and prayers. We lost Whitney a week ago. She gave me her W ring before I set her on an Uber to Louisville in her death. I'm very curious to see the coroner's report. There's things that are not adding up. And
Who is Whitney? I'm sorry.
That's a friend, not 9/11 related, but a friend of his.
Yeah, a friend of mine. And she was going to move in here with me. And I was going to get work with her and Lindsay and be their transport to and from work. And yeah, Whitney's gone.
Sorry.
And thanks. I'm concerned about Lindsay. You know, if there was something untoward about her passing, which it sure looks like there was. She was supposed to be in rehab and she was not. The court ordered to go there. They should have picked her up, taken her straight to rehab.
No.
But that didn't happen. So we will see.
Keep you and her and their family in prayer. Sorry about it.
Thanks a lot.
Sweet Jane, anything for the group?
Oh, thank you. No, I said my what wanted to come forth already. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Richard, anything for the group?
Nothing I can think of. Thanks you guys for holding it down.
Trying. Thank you. Lou LG, anything for the group? Oh, you beat me.
Yes. Yeah, I do most of my comments in the chat, and I just want to say that it seems to me it's possible that that both nanothermite and thermate and directed energy weaponry was used, and this either or type of argumentation is not helpful. So, but thanks for having a well-moderated discussion. And hate the sin, love the sinner, right?
Right on. Can't we all just get along? Right on. Thank you, Lou. Craig.
He said that was his, that was his finishing comments before.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. People are skipping around. Brian, anything for the group, Brian? Hearing none, maybe. Jack, anything else? Final message?
Yes, just look up Ryan Clark and Stanley Prameness. Thanks.
Thank you, Jack. Barb? He's getting
That's
there.
okay. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Barb. Jetty, anything for the group?
Yeah, kind of the same as the Zoom user comment there. Just to say that if you can prove that mass was removed from the columns below the point of impact, it doesn't really matter what removed it. It doesn't matter because you've proven a controlled demolition by whatever means. So I'm kind of wary of getting into that debate as well.
Yeah. Here's one for next week. I want to bring up the question when those proponents say that that's not controlled demolition. I would think that any destruction of the building other than natural means would be a controlled demolition.
You're removing support in order to let the building fall in. You're making a space for the building to fall into. So it's a controlled demolition. Yeah.
So no matter what. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Save that one. Sorry, I didn't want to open a can of worms with that. Thank you. Sean, anything for the group? He's trying. Let me try to help you if you're there. There you go. Anything for the group, Sean?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it said me. No. Good show again, guys.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks.
Susie?
I guess I'm just going to resolve myself in these forums to just state that maybe perhaps we don't know exactly what happened or who did it or how it happened, but that the one thing we know didn't happen was the NIST report.
Yep. Thank you.
Here.
Susan?
No, I think I'm done. Just come and join us the first Thursday in May. We probably are going to have Madhavasetti again.
Nice. Right on. Thanks, Sue. Carl?
Yes, I did put in the chat a link to the authorized PDF of Christopher Berlin's Solving 9/11. I did want to ask Gene, you and Richard specifically, if either of you have yet read it. I know Richard last said on the PBI podcast, I think it was, that he had not read it as of then. Now, Gene, if you could pull up an image I just put in chat, which is for my checklist of delivering copies of AE 9/11 Truths Beyond Misinformation to the Office of back in 2016. Should be the last item in chat. Hold on a second. Well, let me put it there again. This is the...
Well, that's coming up. I can answer your question about reading his book. Sandra can attest. I read very little books, but I have scanned it. I have scanned it many times.
Well, so anyway, here's the image. I'm sure you can see it of my delivery checklist. This is one of many pages. They're in that Dropbox folder link for this. And you'll see in the left column, fourth up from the bottom, in 2016, I hand-delivered a copy of AE 9/11 Truths booklet to Senator Johnson's office. And
Wow.
Richard, have you asked Senator Johnson whether he still has that or whether his staff immediately disposed of it before he ever looked at it?
No, I didn't ask him.
Well, it'd be cool if he still had it, wouldn't it?
Well, we'll get it to him again. If he didn't, yeah.
That's amazing, Carl. You document everybody that you visited. That's great.
Well, if you can scroll through the checklists there at the end of the part 4 of 4. Yeah, I created checklists. I've been through the halls of Congress enough to even know the most efficient sequence in which to walk, so you can check them off in order.
Nice.
But I wanted to be able to prove that I delivered one to every one of those offices. And only one member of Congress said, "Hey, come here, I'll take a picture of you with it." And that was Congressman Pete Sessions, who I just ran into a couple of weeks ago at the Capitol Hill Club. He was out of office for a session, but no pun intended, but he's back in now. And he expressed interest in doing something about 9/11, but they all say that. So we'll see.
Are we talking about the Weldon document here?
No,
Beyond
Christopher
misinformation.
Oh, beyond misinformation.
No.
Yeah, I call it the 48 pages.
Oh, Is that what we were talking about? I thought you were talking about Chris Bolin's book. You were talking about Beyond Misinformation.
Two different things. I put a link in the to a PDF, right? Yeah, for the PDF in chat to Bolin's Solving 9/11. But I also earlier in the chat I put a link to a Dropbox folder. Part number 4 is my records and a narrative of having in 2016 delivered AE 9/11. I personally paid for 550 copies of it and delivered to the office of every member of Congress. And then I took out full-page ads in the Washington Times to document for the whole world that this happened, and explaining 9/11 is probably false flag terrorism. Actually, the last 2 pages of that Dropbox folder are the ads from the Washington Times that I paid for.
Wow.
A few $1,000s each. All of that at the time, I was actually fired as a volunteer because I was a rogue volunteer for AE 9/11. I guess I was promoting their information in a way that was not under control or something.
That's awesome. Nice job.
Well, that's nice to hear. Thank you.
All right. Ross, anything for the group?
Yeah, so I just hope we want to steer clear of being hand-wringing informationalists, because really there's a lot more to focus on besides these details of the information about 9/11. It's much more about the coming 25th anniversary, and it's already April, and I can't think of one thing other than what Richard's doing with the politicization of 9/11, which is that's what Richard should do. But he is that small group that he is clustered, and that's a good thing for what he needs to do. But we've got to bring this group together as a big group, which it is. And so the Judy Woods people can't be ignored. I think that's something that we should not try to do, is ignore them, even though their scientific process falls very short of coming through with anything that really means anything. However, we should agree that we should be able to disagree on that and bring them into the fold and talk about what we're going to do on the 25th anniversary. Specifically next week, I would love to talk about what they ask me on the streets all the time. Who did it, and why are you doing this? And why did it happen? And that video that Sandra shared a couple of weeks ago, Monitor the Situation, by the young people that put it together with AI. I think we should go through that and make sure we all know, because I'm missing some of the pieces of that, what it meant. But that's a great video that young people produced and that can be shared. It's on YouTube. YouTube has gotten better recently, I think. And we need to go through that as a group and understand those current events, because you know what? Nobody brought up one thing tonight, which I was surprised about, which is the war in Iran. I mean, we've got a war going on that's very much related to everything, the false flag that Carl likes to talk about. I call it FF, HDFF, DB, false Hegelian dialectic, false flag, debt-based fiat economy. That's the disease, and that's what we're fighting, and that's what we need to focus on, not these details, this informational stuff that doesn't pull at the heartstrings, which, as Edward Bernays will tell you, anybody that's in marketing will tell you, you got to go after the irrational desires to get people on board. So yeah, Carl says we don't have more than 200 people that are, caring about this. Well, it's not true. We just need to pull at their heartstrings. It's not necessarily about the firefighters and the bankers' families. It's about, what the potential is of bringing truth to society. Okay, let's talk about it next week.
Since I was named, I have an opportunity to reply. I think you misstate what I was trying to point out, but and I also think using an acronym is not clear. False flag terrorism is a term that is in the general discourse, and it should be used by Congress to describe what happened on 9/11.
All right, thank you. I would like, Sandra, part of your wrap up, if you could let everybody know just a broad overview of where we are with the planning for the 25th anniversary.
Well, it's going Still a little bit slowly. We basically have 2 offers now. It's hard to advance seriously without having the venue locked in, because once you reach out to people, you want to be able to tell them this is where it's going to be, and this is when it's happening anyway. But so, and I think there was no change from last week, but we should pin it down this week. It's coming down to between the Museum del Barrio and John Jay College. Anyways, so we're just finalizing that. Again, because of that, not much change. We haven't really forced any reaching out to people that we even know are likely going to agree to come. We just don't want to officially reach out yet until we have the venue locked in. So hopefully by next Sunday, we'll have several confirmations.
Just a layman watching this, and it's amazing. I've been doing this a few years now, that I'm learning as I'm going along, and the efforts you want to invite somebody to come be a speaker, but you don't want to ask your heavy hitters at first because you need some other.
Well, you need to show some meat. You have to give them incentive to say, well, yes, this is why we need to be taken seriously, and this is why you need to come.
So it's a process of, there's still a long list of people that are possibilities. We got the names of a couple positives, really good positives, and we want to build on that. So it'd be nice to try to find a place local to some hotels so that everybody can get around relatively easy, and make it a successful event in New York City this year. So
yeah,
it should be a big one.
Yep. And yeah, I just wanted to say, I know it can come across as very preacherish, and it's something anyway, it's something I don't like to be preacherish at all. I guess there's just so much pent up emotion and thoughts about all of this that when that door opens, sometimes I step through it a little bit too aggressively. So I don't mean to do that. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about it.
Right on.
But I'm honest and I'm sincere about it. So,
and I think everybody here this evening was very sincere and genuine. We had a great conversation. Nobody got out of hand, and this is what I love. This is what we're here for. So let's continue to share ideas and talk about information and move this ball forward. So thank you guys. Have a good evening and a great week, and let's talk next time.
Yeah, talk next Sunday.
Bye, everyone.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.